Call the meeting to order. So, welcome to the Thursday, April 11th, 2019 Pownal Select Board meeting. So, first we're going to go down the agenda, see if it gets approved. So, on the agenda tonight, we have approval of minutes from 3:14 meeting, the 3:21 special meeting, and the 4:4 special meeting. The warrants, mail, public comment, town administrator's report consisting of economic development update, recommend establishing a town energy committee in accordance with the new town plan and appoint Bill Barnes as a member. Budget report, the EVSE grants, electric charging station, discussion of the hiking trail. Then on to old business, there's nothing listed there. Does anybody wish to add anything for old business?
Yes. Reading of the mail. And I just want to follow up with the meeting location request from our first meeting.
Okay. Reading of the mail and, I'm sorry, what was the second one?
Meeting location.
The meeting location.
Request.
Anybody else want to add anything else for old business? Okay.
I don't know if it falls under old business or new business, but I would like to add a brief discussion on just the process for the town plan, for the approval of the town plan.
That under
But we're going to be
probably
discussing the town plan tonight. I would think that would fall under.
No, I don't. I'm sorry, not the town plan, the town hall.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I misspoke.
I was
Town
going to say,
hall.
the town plan's already been approved.
Yeah,
Confusing us, Bob.
yeah, I'm sorry. Town hall.
Okay. Oh, I would.
It'll
That
probably
would be under
under
old business.
I don't know. It's kind of ongoing. I would think that would fall under old business too, wouldn't it?
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Or it could be myself.
Okay. Town hall. Anybody else want to add anything under old business? Going once, going twice. Okay. All right. So then we'll move on to new business after that. Mike Gardner regarding trash and cleanup of a property, financial audit bid, gravel crushing bid, 2019 select board appointments. Michael Batcher for the BCRC regarding discussion of the hazardous mitigation, appointment of a hazardous mitigation committee. Then Mike Batcher again for the BCRC and transfer station supervisor regarding town county solid waste alliance. And then just as a reminder, there's public hearing number 2 for the town plan amendments, Wednesday, April 17th at 6:30 p.m. at the Pownal Valley Fire Department. And then hopefully we'll adjourn. So,
Motion to
I'll hear.
approve the agenda?
all right, we have a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so first we'll move on to approval of the minutes. So, does anybody wish to go over these?
Nope, I make a motion
Anybody?
to accept the meeting, the minutes as posted, unless somebody has something else.
I think we have to approve each day separately.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the March 14th minutes unless somebody has some sort of a correction.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, March 14th, 2019. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, those minutes are approved.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the March 21st special meeting minutes. I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion to approve minutes for Thursday, March 21st, 2019. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye. Sorry,
Oh,
I forgot
are
to
you
say
opposed,
aye.
or-
The aye.
Oh,
Aye.
All right.
Want to make sure I get audible there.
All right, so,
and I too did not say aye out loud to approve,
all right,
although
so,
I did make the motion. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 14th special meeting minutes.
April 4th.
April 4th. I'm sorry, April 4th.
Second it.
all right, motion to approve the Thursday, April 4th, 2019 special meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, carries. All right, so minutes are approved. On to warrants. Let's see what we got.
Where did they go?
They're all in there. They're in the blue binder.
Huh?
I need that, that's,
Oh,
that binder.
this one?
That one.
This one. That one.
Brian, let me make this easier for you.
Yes, please.
Which numbers?
Any guidance is appreciated.
You can just leave them right there.
Okay,
Everybody looked at them and signed them.
yeah.
Yeah, those ones.
Yes.
Okay.
Just go down the list.
Of all the dates. Okay. All right. So everybody already signed all the warrants. So thank you, Linda. Makes it much easier than digging through each one. So make a motion to approve the minutes regarding 317, 324, 331, 47, 322. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to read the amounts too.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let me start over. Make a
PR
mo-
means payroll.
Okay. Make a motion to approve
The warrants.
the warrants for payroll ending 317 in the amount of $10,791.86. Payroll ending in 324 for the amount of $9,939.01. Payroll ending 331 for $9,829.64. Payroll ending 47 in the amount of $10,735.90. And what was the AP stand for again?
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable, 322, dated 322 in the amount of $32,154.78. Accounts payable, 38A for 323 in the amount of $5,380.27. Accounts payable number 39 on 329 for $32,598.13. Accounts payable number 40 on 4/5 for $11,837.97. Accounts payable number 41 on 4/12 for $12,290.08.
Second.
All right. We have a motion to approve all these. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay.
I missed.
Who made the motion?
Who did?
I made the motion.
Okay.
As he was,
He seconded.
then you were, yep. I
And
seconded.
Harry.
All right. Moving on to mail.
Mr. Chairman, first thing in the mail is reports from the Bennington County Sheriff's Office. I've received reports from January 1 to 31, February 1 to 28, and March 1 to 31. March there were 18 verbal warnings, 13 tickets. Traffic tickets in February, 14 tickets, 21 verbal warnings, 14 tickets and 21 verbal warnings in March, or I beg your pardon, in January. If you had known, tickets that are written go to court, and we get a portion of that money returned to our budget. It's not a significant amount, but we do get money back from that.
Correct.
So, next I have for you liquor license renewals. The first liquor license renewal will be for the American Legion Post, and there's one for outside and one for inside. Request that you vote and approve for doing one at a time. Outside liquor license for the American
Yeah, I
Legion.
think we got to do them individually.
Yeah.
I make a
Alright.
motion,
Outside first.
yeah, I make a motion to approve the outside liquor license for the American Legion.
I'll second that.
All right. There's a motion to approve the liquor license for the American Legion for their outside permit. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. That one gets approved. I think
Then-
that one can make the journey around the table, or do you want to wait
The
till
next
end?
one would be the American Legion for their inside renewal.
Make
I'll
a-
make the motion for the approval of the American Legion internal consumption license.
Second.
All right. There's a motion to approve the internal liquor license for the American Legion. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? All right. That one carries.
I have a liquor license for the Pownal Market and Deli on Route 7. Request a affirmative vote for Pownal Market and Deli liquor license.
Liz, that one's yours.
I'll make a motion to approve the Pownal Market and Deli liquor license.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. There's a motion to approve the liquor license for the Village Market, for Pownal Market. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed say aye, or nay.
Nay.
You Can't
Oh,
vote.
sorry.
You can't vote both.
That's what Simon says.
So which is it?
And I just passed it.
Don't mind me.
I decided.
Okay.
All right, we'll give it back to Harry then.
I
Harry.
knew you were trying to read it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, I have a letter to the Select Board. This is to inform you that I'm resigning from my position on the Pownal Planning Commission effective immediately from Frederick R. Miller. My recommendation is to accept with regrets Frederick Miller resignation and thank him for his service to the community.
I'll hear a motion.
Oh, wait a minute.
I will make a motion to accept Fred's resignation from the planning commission and, you know, let's give him a big thank you because it takes a lot to step up and,
It does.
work on these town committees.
Bob has a sign out.
You
Whoops.
know, there's many people in the town, but not as many
need
community
more people
members.
to
We
step
need
up.
we need more community members to come forward and serve. So thank you, Fred.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You
All
gotta
right.
sign both of those.
Anybody gonna second?
Oh, one second.
All right. So there's a motion to accept Fred's letter of resignation with regret and to thank him for his service. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Department of Transportation, were they Tuesday or Wednesday came by? They do this every year, complete an audit to determine sum of monies that are spent on our highways. And the difference of that, between that and the amount that we received in grants, and that sum is greater than $300, it allows us to be eligible for $53,000 in the event of an emergency. We would be able to get that back in a grant. And I would request that you, board, approve and sign this.
So, make a motion that we apply for the grant.
Well, it's not a grant service, it basically is an audit. It balances out, it indicates that we spent over $300 over and above.
All right, so to accept the audit.
Correct.
No, it's not an audit, it's just
What?
the annual
Well-
financial
Oh,
plan.
all right. Well, I just
They
wanted
balance.
What the proper verbiage.
I used the improper verbiage, so I beg your
So I
pardon.
make a
We can
motion
just
to
approve
accept
it.
the annual financial plan for the highway, town highways.
Good.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All right.
That's
There was a
what-
motion to
that's what it
approve
says
the
right
annual financial plan for the town highways. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the treasurer is requesting a budget adjustment, journal entry adjustment from fiscal year 17-18 from bond principal payment, bond expense line as it was requested by the auditor. This does not change the budget whatsoever. It's just a sewer bond interest payment. It's separated line items. One of the things that the auditor did, you want to explain it? Go ahead.
The budget adjustments for this year's budget, 18-19, when it was booked, it was booked, isn't that the 18-19 one?
17, written on there.
Ryan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Could you-
Jeff White.
I'm
No,
sorry,
I
Ellen.
said-
Could you announce to the camera who you are?
there. Find that.
Hi, I'm Ellen Strohmeyer, treasurer. It actually states, due to the FY17 and FY18 audit journal entries, I made an adjustment in FY19 for the same adjustment so that the sewer bond is booked.
It's up to date.
Right. I made the correction in this year's.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just it's because of the 17-18 audit and the way they had
You're
me
anticipating
book it.
they're going to have you change it, so you're doing
No,
it
I have to
preemptively?
change it. I have to do it this way, but when it went through accounts payable, it wasn't booked because this hadn't all been taken care of yet, so it's just updating. I'm
Okay.
making my journal entries ahead of time before the auditor tells me I have to because I'm supposed to.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ellen.
No,
I'm doing
require
what
board
the
approval.
previous external auditor requested.
Okay.
So motion to accept the change
So
by
that
the
it,
treasurer.
Budget
All
adjustment.
I'm doing is taking it out of the the sewer bond payment principal.
Yeah.
And putting it into the interest line.
Right, that was what, when the auditor was here several months ago, that was what he had talked about with the
Before.
double entry
It's
stuff.
just the way it has to
Yeah.
be,
It's the
Per his-
those municipal accounting rules.
per his request.
Okay. Thanks, Ellen.
Did you make a motion?
Yes.
I second that.
All right, there's a motion to approve the changes as outlined by the treasurer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right,
Mr.
motion carries.
Chairman, Miss Jenny Dewar would like to read the Meals on Wheels.
I'm just gonna do public comment.
All right.
Go ahead.
Are you done with your mail? Because she just said she
Oh,
was
yeah,
going to do it
I'm
in
gonna
public comment.
I have a couple things for public
Oh,
comment.
I was gonna do that in mail, but you wanna do that
I'd
public
rather-
comment?
yes.
Okay, rather do that. I have a letter from Mr. Steve Copey, crux of which is he would like to recommend for us to go back to weekly meetings. Mr. Copey making that request.
Yeah, I thought he had 2 items on there.
Did he? It's the only one he discussed with me. What else
It
did
says the second half. The second half is in regards to payment for select board members.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to read the whole thing out loud or just pass it around?
The read is right in here.
Would you like me to read it?
Please. if
I
you'd
got to
like to.
admit, I was having trouble deciphering some of
He
it.
sat with me and discussed the one item, but he didn't discuss the other, so that's why I beg your
Dear
pardon.
select board members, I would like you to consider going back to weekly meeting with your reorganization. My personal feeling, you could benefit in understanding your warrants, payroll, and mail in a timely manner than 2 weeks out. Much easier to catch errors when not looked into weeks. Being most are non-members, new members, and this could be helpful. Also, selectmen pay. Being this is basically a
Pat on the back.
pat on the back, thank you.
That part I could read.
Yeah. It is budgeted for 5 select board members. If one times that,
It's a one-time.
if in that
Yeah.
you lose a member and one has to be appointed or voted in, that person is entitled to the full annual amount, even if it's only for a few meetings. This also overruns the treasurer's budget line item. Seems it would be wiser to prorate time left, also a fair way to go forward. Good luck, Steve Copey. Thank you, Mr. Copey.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to write up a recommendation based on this, and then you can consider it? You don't have to vote on it, but,
I'm okay with him writing a recommendation on that.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else want to discuss that further? About a
I don't think so.
recommendation?
We did actually talk about that a little bit before.
We did.
And the only reason we do it the way that we do is it's just always been there. It probably makes sense, I don't know.
I mean,
We can stick to budget a lot better if we know what's coming.
yes, Marlena?
Okay, based on that comment, I think you're talking about the budgeted line item for the pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there are 2 items on there, so I wasn't quick.
Yeah, well, the
Yes, you
the
are.
meeting schedule one, I'm fine with debating it, have Michael write up a recommendation, we'll discuss it at a later
Yep.
date.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good point.
So
We
there's
have
two
actually
different
talked
items.
about both of them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
We would,
Yes, Linda?
They both can be addressed in the select board rules, the meeting and the pay.
Okay.
Okay.
The standards that we, okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Well, we'll talk about it then.
Mr. Chairman, we have notice of a Vermont League of Cities and Towns, be a workshop for effective property tax appeals. Anyone is possibly interested in that?
What day is it being held on?
I beg your pardon, I should have announced that.
Tuesday, April 30th, and Tuesday, May 7th, both are April 30th in Fairleigh, Vermont, and May 7th is in Rutland, Vermont. I know I'm interested in going to the May 7th
Yeah, I
one.
was gonna go to May 7th with myself.
Being a JP also, that would fall under when we have to take it.
I might be interested in the May 7th one if I can make it work for my work schedule wise.
I have several excess weight permit applications, all signed by the road foreman. I'll go through them one at a time, and you can
We
vote
can
each
approve
one.
them all
Approve them
at
all.
the end.
The first one is for Casella Construction. Would you approve excess weight permit signed by the road foreman?
I would.
Okay, just need a
Need a motion?
motion.
Motion to
Wait,
approve the,
wait, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Can we do them all? in
Yeah,
the
we're
Yeah,
gonna
blanket?
do a
read-
blanket, we
read
all
them and do
agreed
them
to
all
do a
at once.
blanket.
Oh, you agreed to do a blanket, okay.
Yeah.
So let me do it this way. Casella Construction, Camp Precast Concrete Products, Barrett Trucking, Eiler Brothers, Greater Heights Tree and Land Management, Nathan Martell, Phoenix Feed and Nutrition, TAM Incorporated, and United Natural Foods.
Make a motion to accept the permit requests for all of the above,
I'll second
for
that.
excessive weight.
All right. And Elizabeth second, so there's a motion to accept the applications for all the excess weight permits. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
We have to sign these anyway? Alright.
Yeah.
No, they're all set to go.
They're all set? Okay.
Thanks, Linda.
If anybody wants to see them, I'll send them down that way.
So,
There was. And that's it for me, sir.
all right. All right. Public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? Anybody? Anybody? Oh, hi. Would you introduce yourself to the camera, please?
Hi, I'm Jenny Dewar. First, may I please ask that picture is straightened out? It's driving me crazy. Thank you.
Don't knock it down.
OCD, I admit it. I got it.
Yeah, we got our priorities.
So, three things, two are the same. Meals on Wheels. I announced this at a meeting prior, but it wasn't on live television because there was a break taken and we didn't go back to live. So I just wanted to announce again that we will be serving at the new Pownal Cafe, which is at the Faith Christian Fellowship, on Thursdays at 11:30. It's a $4 suggested donation for people 60 and up, a $5 charge for people under 60. We're serving soup and salad and an entree with sides and dessert, and it's delicious food. We've had some lovely people coming, so please come and join us. I'm serving the food, so I'd love to have a conversation with you as well.
Jenny, what was the time of that?
It's on Thursdays at 11:30 at the Faith Christian Fellowship, which is on 82 Main Street. It's right across the street from the library. And in the same vein, I would love to make an appeal. We have upwards of 30 people who receive Meals on Wheels in Pownal, and we need financial help. So if you are so inclined to make a donation this year to offset taxes, I know everyone's not getting the refunds they hoped for, so please consider Meals on Wheels in your donations. So that's Meals on Wheels. The other thing I'd like to just remind people is that the community calendar that I'm doing under the umbrella of Discover Pownal is up and running. If you have any events that you would like to put on the calendar, I just finished uploading the Majors baseball, both away and home games. So anything that you'd like to add to it, just let me know. It's also on That Is Not Me.
I was gonna say, if everybody could silence their cell phones, please.
I thought I did that.
Terry's reminder to silence the cell phone.
It's at the wrong time.
So I just, we also added the calendar to the town's event page, it's been morphed so that it's both anything that I load, and I gave Linda and Michael access to being able to load events on the calendar there if they want to load it. They can do it either way. If they load on the town end of it, then it'll only show up on the town calendar. But Discover Pownal is not just about anything we're sponsoring, since we are sponsoring maybe like one thing so far. So it's anything in town. I'm just happy to put on this community calendar.
Question,
Yes.
can activities and stuff that are, on behalf of the middle school and the high school, which benefit our middle school and high school students that live in this town?
Sure.
Can those be added to the calendar
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, definitely. Anything that includes Pownal Pownalites.
Pownalites.
I mean, what the town does on that end of things, they can, that's up to these guys, of course.
Okay.
But I prefer the ones that I'm loading that they be related to Pownal in some way. I know the Legion has an event calendar going, so I just go to their calendar and I copy it onto ours. So if anyone else has a calendar, a Google calendar they'd like to let me know about, I can just copy.
It would be
those
nice to put
events over
stuff,
to
like the plays and stuff, because some of our
Absolutely.
students who went to Pownal Elementary School are in the drama club.
Yeah,
and,
they just did Almost Maine, and it was beautiful.
wonderful.
So anything that anyone has, I'm happy to load on.
Okay.
Quick comment is, just from a newsletter standpoint, I kind of like the old format better. The old format, the calendar is very useful, but if you're distributing a newsletter, it's nicer to see, as an example, I guess I'll plug Harwood, kids on the farm, and then the date, where to, who to contact, and then it becomes more of an event for the newsletter. And I think we kind of lost that on our website. We no longer have that. Now we do have the calendar, which is quite beneficial, but we don't have the description. So if we
the descriptions are on there if you just click on them.
I did do that. It still is not quite as much information as it was before. And for the newsletter where you distribute the hard copies, which I distribute hard copies of those, you have to be online in order to see them.
You can click and get the description and copy that description and paste it into your newsletter. I'm just the way I'm doing the calendar is a Google Calendar.
No, I'm not objecting to the way you do
however
the
you do it
calendar.
with town,
I'm suggesting that the town website
Bring back the newsletter.
the old more descriptive stuff that can be copied into a newsletter.
I will point out that I was the one who loaded events on, and no one has loaded any events on the town calendar since I left. So on the events page.
No, they were there last month. There was a couple.
Who put them there?
I honestly don't
Jen
know.
Holly did.
Yeah, I know.
She just pulled them from stuff she's seen, and they were all in Bennington. So there's no one in the town office who is posting onto the website for the town.
Okay.
All right,
So,
so we should.
if you wanna do
maybe
that,
we
then
could
go
see
for it.
about trying to get Jen to start doing that, or somebody.
Or somebody.
Someone has to
I mean,
find the
Yeah,
events.
it doesn't have to be a
That's
webmaster.
the
somebody.
Like I used to hunt for the events and I would post them.
We'll accept
now
a
I hunt for the
volunteer if
events and
anybody
I put
wants
it
to
on-
volunteer.
No, thanks, I'll do it my way. But if, however you want to do it for the town is fine, but that's what I'm doing the Discover Pownal one.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thanks.
Any other public comment?
Oh, well, stay papers.
I don't know when I'm supposed to speak.
Good. Well, introduce yourself, please.
Mike Slattery, Chairman of the Planning Commission. I was here originally to talk about select board appointments, and I can wait until that time, if you'd like, to speak. Or I can speak for a few minutes right now.
I guess it would depend on what you're speaking to.
The select board appointment.
Select board,
Like directly about individual appointments, like people, or
actually the numbers of people is what I prefer to speak about.
He wants to talk about, board reduction
If it's
in numbers.
Right, which I can do now, doesn't matter.
Should we wait?
I would think that might want to wait until we talk about appointments, because we already have it on the agenda to talk about appointments.
That's fine,
Okay.
We're gonna make you wait.
no problem.
You can't leave.
You know how much I love it.
I know.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Anybody else have any comments? Anybody? Anybody
once.
hiding in the corner behind Ellen?
Going twice.
No, nobody's behind you.
All right. Moving on to town administrator's report then.
So our economic development update. I've been attending all of the Southern Vermont Economic Development meetings. There is a community economic development project whereby we submit priority projects in our community. They're accepted by the regional economic development, and then when the summit coming up in, I believe, May, which unfortunately I won't be attending, they'll be voting for the top 10. I took the liberty of submitting the racetrack as a development project. There is not an active project. There's a project. Mr. Solar has a project on on paper. What I wanted to do was to ensure that we had a placeholder for this particular form. What it is, it doesn't give us a grant. It doesn't give us any kind of monies. What it does is if we do engage in a project at the track and we do seek grants or loans and so forth, this document and the placement of priority by that group would help leverage those funds, placing it on a priority list. And I made my pitch at that meeting, considering that this was extraordinarily large project that would have a great deal of regional economic impact. And I'm hoping that it would get at the top 10 at the meeting in May. But I have no idea whether it will or not, but that's one thing we did. We're going to reorganize. We've got some new members. We've talked about, and we'll be talking about again, maybe not, park policy. And we're working on expanding the use of our town parks, developing a park policy, particularly Center Street Park. Went to the Development Review Board and had a great discussion with both abutters and the Development Review Board. And we've got a lot of great material to go back to the board with to work on to really solidify how we're going to use that park. A lot of good comments came forward, which I deeply appreciate. So we're going to go back and go through those items and come back with a good policy for parks. Economic development has a SWOT analysis, which we've morphed into an action plan. And for example, one of the action plans is to actually go to businesses, properties in town, and align them with tax incentives and other benefits from being in a village designation, and assisting them in applying for those funds. So we're becoming more active rather than passive. If you look at the village designation and the funds that's provided, the person who owns the home has to ask for that. The person who wants to do the business has to ask for that. And quite often we say, hey, we got a village designation, here's all this cool stuff. But nobody really understands what's available to them. And what we're trying to do is get that into these folks' hands. Particular Doug Kuzmicki, he's got tax incentives. We approached him, and he's going to be applying for some tax incentives for his property and his business. So, so far we're 1 for 1. So,
just a comment on that. To avoid any conflicts of favoring one business over another or reaching out on a one-to-one basis, I think maybe workshops where you invite all businesses to come in and do that sort of thing would be more of a broader approach, and more of a you got a little advertising, but then it's also easier to get a bunch of them at once. It doesn't raise our costs or our efforts.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because this summer, Mr. Richard A. Moore, who runs that program, agreed to come down. We're going to set a date for a seminar, exactly what you were talking about. We're going to advertise that,
Good.
get everybody in a room, what do you need? And bring applications and basically get things going.
Help them understand like what
Yeah.
what businesses have
Yeah.
that's available to them, because sometimes the process of going through the applications, the research and reading through all the materials,
It can be discouraging.
It's a little discouraging, and it can be a little intimidating, and sometimes it's easier to have somebody like Richard there to explain it in a way that's easy to understand, so that folks, are more comfortable with the material.
And my suggestion was more around, and that's exactly it. But it's more around both the perception and possibly someday the actual reality of favoring one business over another, the sort of crony capitalism stuff. When you do the workshops and you invite them in, then anyone who wants to show up can show up, and you disseminate the same information.
Correct.
And I think it's more appropriate.
Correct. And this is, the EDC is new, and these are, baby steps, growing things. We're learning about all this stuff as we move forward with the economic development program. So, good job, Mike.
Well, thank you, and thank the
Yes,
board,
thank you.
thank the committee, not just me. We have gotten permission from DOT. We're going to expand the placing of flowers around entrances to the town instead of just out on the Williamstown side. So we've got Discover Pownal, people that are going to help with that, try to brighten up our interest as a town, just something on a micro level. There's a really smart guy that gave me an idea that I started working on, and that was trying to take a look at all the major businesses in Vermont. Why are they here? Why do they stay here? And get that data and try to figure out why they're staying here. Perhaps we're not doing that, or we could do something to be able to help them. And who was that guy? Oh yeah, Mike Slattery. That's the guy right there, right there. Economic Opportunity Zone. We had a lady come in from Recreation, Economic Development from USDA. We are not in an economic opportunity zone. And when I asked why, it's because using the formula, we have too high of a median income, too low of a poverty level. And when you look at the formula, it really doesn't account the fact that we have outliers in that we have a core of people that are quite wealthy that move that number towards the positive. But if you look and circle some areas that do have less, it makes more of an impact. And I don't know if I've got any traction with that, trying to get that changed, but that's talk to our representative about that and see if that can be worked on, because it seems like all the economic development opportunities hinged around things that were outside of our town, under the theory that if something happened on the edges of our town, we'd somehow reap the benefits. I hope that works, but it doesn't seem like it would work. We are looking at actively helping businesses come into the town. There is a business that's looking for property, and we're actively helping them. And that is pretty much it, unless you have any questions for me.
Sorry, go ahead.
To get done, right?
Yes, Harry.
When you're doing the rules and stuff for the parks, are you just focusing right now on the center park, or are you going to do a general dynamic for our trail systems, and then, you know, specific if there's additional rules for the town park, or different, like the baseball fields or whatever? Town park is town park, whatever town parks. The hiking trails are going to be somewhat different. They're going to fall in a different category, because we have like a general for all general set of rules for all town properties or parkways, and then you can do specifics if you like it framed that way. I'd be happy to do it that way. Just trying to make it simple as. But so you would like to see the hiking trails added into the entire recreation? Basically all our recreational areas.
Make it one recreation policy.
Yes, thank you.
Now, there might need to be some specifics in it, because you may treat this
Right.
one
Yeah,
next to
well,
the
that's
town
what I
hall
mean. There may be
different
some
than-
sublets within there, but we'll
Yeah.
have a
But one policy, so people have one place to go to read it.
That's kind of a cut and paste. I can do that. Yeah, thank you for your help. Any other questions? The next item, and Mr. Slattery can help with this, is recommend that you vote to establish a town energy committee in accordance with the new town plan, and appoint Mr. Bill Barnes as a member, and there's one other member. Barbara Trueweber.
Yep,
Barbara Trueweber, yes.
Barbara Trueweber.
And was asked to be on that committee as well. And if Mr. Slattery would like to speak to this?
Slattery.
I haven't, my mouth is dry.
I would defer to, hi Madison, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Madison Kremer, did I
Oh,
pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Kramer, yep.
Who represents the BCRC and is the expert on the formation, not to put too much pressure on you or anything,
I don't know about expert.
on the formation of that. Just a little bit of background, we adopted the town plan in May of 2018. Part of that discusses the formation, or actually literally the hiring of an energy coordinator. I'm not sure we need just one person, perhaps a committee, and the committee can decide who the liaison is between the state and the town. But that's as much as I know about the formation of these. We just had the vision to form it. The nuts and bolts, I would defer to you if you want to say a few words.
I don't know if you're going to like my response too much because
Yeah.
for most of the committees it's very localized as to how they're started. A lot of them are formalized through the select board.
Yeah.
Some are not formal at all. They're just a group of self-appointed energy enthusiasts. Some are in an advisory capacity, such as Manchester was, the Conservation Commission was appointed as an energy committee as well to form the energy plan for Manchester. So the nuts and bolts as far as how the select board goes about that is very much up to you. Some committees are 1 to 2 people, some are several dozen. So it's very much about tapping into the enthusiasm from the town members, and I had spoken with both Michaels about how many people is normal, and it runs a gamut, but I think that from what we're seeing around Vermont, it's really just about tapping into the enthusiasm and getting something started and kind of rolling on from there. The BCRC is helping energy committees. That's kind of a main role that I'm playing. As a VISTA member, we're hosting several meetings to help energy committees form. We had one in January, and since then 4 more committees have formed throughout the region. So we're here to help. I don't know what more I can say, but if you have specific questions, I can go to VK.
Well, if you could talk a little bit more about the actual role that they play, not
Yeah.
just bringing information from Mount Pelier down here, but how it not only helps the municipality, but helps the citizens of Pownal as well.
Well, as part of your town plan, you have an energy section. So the committee really serves to implement that plan that you have. They undertake projects such as transportation, what else? Housing. They can help, such as the Heat Squad. They have rolled out the Button Up Vermont project in a lot of towns. And you know, they can take on any number of projects. Sometimes the select board will have a specific thing in mind, whether it be economic development or forestry, and say, we want more data, we want more information on how this affects our overall goals in terms of energy, and they'll ask the committee to look into that. But that's part of the formation of the committee is deciding what their focus will be. I've helped Bennington to kind of formalize a function and mission statement, but it's really up to each town to decide how to interpret energy, because that's very broad, and in each town it's different as far as what the needs are.
Mr. Chairman, what I would recommend is appointing these 2 individuals as the Energy Committee, and then allowing them to work with DCRC and lay the groundwork for a committee, and then come back to the board and get approval on that direction.
Not to be the naysayer, but isn't the correct process for a new committee to first establish the committee, then post something?
Post for the openings on
Post
it.
for the openings, and then consider who you're going to appoint.
Yeah, I think that would be the appropriate process to do it.
Is that correct, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So need a motion to
Establish the committee.
establish a energy commission.
You making that motion?
I make a motion to establish an energy commission and.
I thought you were asking if we were gonna. Sorry.
Yeah.
To send out, I don't know, post it for any individuals that are interested.
I'll second that.
Right. There's a motion to establish.
And just discussion, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I always forget the discussion.
Right.
I think we need to actually start with something. So why don't we start with 3? Because we need to post something, so we need to know how many positions we're
Right.
posting.
True.
Yeah.
And then if we
Okay.
start with 3, that's not the number, that's probably not the number, but then, once we get 1 or 2, we can then task them with putting together the rest of the committee
And
for
how,
their recommendations.
So we're just.
And how-
I know
Well, we're still discussing.
and how long should the post be? I mean, should we say like a 3-year
No.
post?
What's the averaging?
Well, it's a brand new committee, so I
Yes.
mean, you can't say 1 year because
Well, no, they're
their
not.
feet are just getting wet.
I would say 2 or 3 years.
3-year posts, maybe?
How about lifetime?
No, no, I'm sure so.
Committees
So-
don't usually have term expiration
Okay.
as a rule.
Right.
His motion was for a commission, which is different than a committee.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
committee,
Well, I think,
I meant,
yeah, let's make
Yes,
it
I
a
meant-
town energy committee.
so it's a town, so motion for a town energy committee. And as of right now, we'll stand at 3 members. And to post for any other interested parties that want to meet or join the committee.
Second that.
Right. There's a motion to approve a town energy committee. And the rest of what Harry said. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay.
What's that word? What am I supposed to? No.
Uh,
I'm
Mike.
sorry, how long
Mike.
do you post it for? When do you anticipate it?
uh,
Do you post it for a couple of weeks?
I was gonna say,
I don't know
what do you
I
think?
know you're gonna have 2 immediately.
Right.
Right.
That wanna get going
Yeah.
on this.
Right.
Well, we meet again in 2 weeks, so if
Yeah.
there's
So
a
if it's
third
posted in the next
party
few days.
interested.
Well, what's the average when we do
Yeah, what is the
any of
average?
these?
We usually, just from the past, we just make sure that we post it, and we usually do it in the next meeting. So I think it's appropriate to do it in the next meeting if it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
And you can stop me if I'm saying something
Get that
incorrect.
posted as soon as I can.
No, it sounds fine.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
hold on to our 2 prospects.
Okay.
We won't let them go.
They're not going anywhere.
We already told them lifetime anyway.
Mr. Chairman, I do not have a budget report. I could not get the NEMRIC program to work for me. I will have to do that at next meeting.
Okay.
Beg your pardon.
Side comment, probably not appropriate. We've been having a lot of issues with NEMRIC
Yes,
lately.
it's, per your direction, we've moved it to the cloud.
Yes.
And until today, it seemed to have been working. The other issue has been the computers talking to each other here. Yours still have a problem with yours?
No, I'm good to go.
Okay, who else, anybody else having any business?
I did at one time.
Yeah.
Mine worked this morning in the
Good.
cloud.
Yeah, mine didn't work in the cloud. I left him an email.
Okay.
It's ongoing. So,
Just keep us appraised
yeah,
of the ongoing issues.
boy, they are.
Do you guys use a shared drive in that cloud or not?
Well, it's Office 365, so
So
it's like a OneDrive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
OneDrive.
so it's-
yeah, it is OneDrive, actually.
Right, okay.
Electric charging stations, EVSE grants. This is a state grant that I brought to Mr. Doug Kuzmicki's attention down at the corner. His intent was to rebuild one of the main cabins as a restaurant to look just like it did in the 50s. Instead of 2 gas pumps, it'd be 2 charging stations. Town would sponsor this. There's no money from the town. The company that's applying for the grant will, they do the front money for the grant. And the electricity would be, you go up and swipe your card at that, I feel like calling it a pump, but it's actually an electrical
Right.
station.
Plug.
Yep.
A plug. And it meters how much electricity you get, and it's charged appropriately. And whatever, that covers Mr. Kuzmicki's cost of his electricity, and of course he wants to make a profit. So that's how it would work. We are in a prime position for having one, according to the grant paperwork and the gentleman who's applying for it on our behalf. We have no obligation, but my participation in helping draft the grant. There's no money obligation to us.
So, and there's no, there's nothing we need to do, right? He's applying for the grant, he'll
Right.
get the grant, and he'll apply the grant. It's really
I
not.
think
No,
other than
nothing we
it's
really
not
have to do.
authorizing Michael to
Yeah, I
help.
guess-
We're just authorizing, yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
it's
to
just-
to assist.
That's just the idea ferry.
Given a
You know,
blessing, basically.
Yeah, that's, you know. Hiking trail. A lot of work has been done with the hiking trail. We have discovered where we could access. We have talked to all the state agencies involved. We know how we're going to access. Now we need to find out who's going to do the work to get the access. I had listed a bunch of considerations for hiking trails in Pownal, and it's just,
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Spaghetti against the wall kind of thing, and I put it in your package. It's no definite order. And I finally got a hold of Miss Lisa Thornton at the State Forestry, and had a conversation with her, showed her the list, and she's in the process of finding me resources and assets that can help us in developing our trails. The trail system's in place. Likely will need some maintenance, and then of course we've got to work on the access. And we've had some offers to do that, but we haven't gotten into the meat of negotiating. So this is a pretty good thing for us to open up our hiking trails so we get people recreating in our community. Any little thing we can do to help spur on development of the community and activity is good. So, and Peter, that's all I have, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
You bet. Running out of voice, and I can't find my water. I have a water bottle over there? No,
Oh, I drank that.
Can you go to your truck?
No.
that was water, wasn't it?
I don't know.
All right, so if
It was
Michael's
clear.
done, move on to old business. Pending any other discussion on what Michael had to say. All right, moving on to old business.
I know that we had, in our first meeting, talked about changing the meeting location, and I just wanted to know if we could get an update on that.
Linda pointed out, and I can't remember what she pointed out, that basically prohibited us from moving over to the school, and I forget what that was, Linda.
We weren't allowed to leave the town office with the warrants, I believe.
The only thing, my only thing was the warrants can't leave the office.
Right, so we'd have to come here to take it.
You have to come here to
We've-
sign them.
We've had problems in the past, and the board decided that warrants didn't go off-site.
Right.
But they could be signed and then just voted on.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how easy it is to get a conference call, a conference line there. I've seen them in
Yeah.
other, when I watch other select board meetings, they're clearly not in their own town hall. They're clearly at the school or somewhere else.
Well, there's a,
Yeah.
And they always have a conference line in there.
well, there's a, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So there's a company that does conference calling, and you get a number and then a PIN number.
No, I think all we
that you
need is
can
a
call
phone,
in.
really.
Yeah, really,
Right.
just a speakerphone.
The
Well-
speakerphone does it.
Whether or not there's,
Sorry, how long that was.
Well, if it's multiple people calling in is where I'm,
Yeah, that's a good point.
so,
whether or not there was a location in the gymnasium, because we did get permission to use the gymnasium.
The
But
gym
whether
or
or
the
not-
library, depending on what was going on.
Correct. Whether or not that there was an outlet where our conference phone could be plugged into, and how that would work. So
Might be one in
The
the library,
only
but
other
you
thing
gotta
I would
keep
add
calling.
to that is
Mm.
Cat TV. You would have to have a conversation with Cat TV
Right.
about where we could go live or where we can't.
okay,
That's true too.
thank you,
So
Michael.
you'd like me to check on conference calling phones?
Conference calling and feasibility of Cat TV being able to stream live.
have to have
Is that
permission
just
to use
because of
their
room?
internet service.
Is that just because of the
Yeah, it was
spatial?
to try to address the space issue, like on nights like tonight where we got a packed house, to try to anticipate it and try to schedule the meeting at a more
feasible
convenient location. So that we're not trying to peek around corners and
Well, I did ask the principal, and he's okay with it. So
Okay.
it's just a matter of ironing out all the other stuff.
Okay. Thank you. And then the other item was discussion around reading of the mail. I know that there's items that come in that we need to sign and vote on, but maybe being more efficient with it. And if there is announcements regarding programs and whatnot, not reading the entire flyers, but maybe just doing a quick announcement, like, there's an Easter egg hunt on April whatever at this location, and not reading front to end, because it elongates the meetings, and I don't think it's very efficient use of our time. Okay. And ensuring announcements as such go on our town calendar, so that one, people with digital access can see them, but also when Bob's doing the newsletter, he's got the information there to put into the newsletters for people who don't have digital access.
Okay. Alright.
Any other comments on that?
I'm writing.
I was letting Mike try to get caught up.
No, it's up to you folks how you want to do it. I'm just making notes so I know what the.
Well, as far as putting more information on the website, we kind of touched on that before. You know, get a volunteer or try to appoint somebody to better supply information on the website. So,
Well, I believe if announcements like the Meals on Wheels thing that's in this week's mail comes in, can we just scan that over to Jen Holly and have her put it on the webpage? So, I mean, that's
Do
a
that.
real easy thing is to just send it to our webmaster and she can get it into the calendar.
Well, but just to be clear, that becomes a, pretty much a picture, not text. It's always better to get the soft copy than you can copy and paste to something else, like a newsletter or something. I suppose you can do pictures in newsletters too, but that's fine, but it's a little easier when it's text. 'cause
well, there's
you
programs
format.
out there that can convert a text and a picture to a PDF format, I thought.
Right. And vice versa,
Yeah.
PDF to Word.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I'm sure Jen has that stuff.
She'll be here in the morning. I'll chat with her.
We don't generally have a lot of that comes really to the town office. Mostly your board mail is to inform you that maybe you have workshops that you could be attending. We don't have a lot of,
I think this is to try to better
Community
take
type
advantage
things.
of our calendar as more of a community calendar, and it might spur more groups in town to take advantage of it to get their message out. So it might not be utilized a lot now, but I think the thinking process right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but try to anticipate if people start to,
Right.
let's be ready for it.
Well, it's building community.
There are links to organizations. I just received one, and I'm researching it now to make sure it's legitimate. Yeah, checking on the background of it. So you have social groups and social organizations that we link to, and that's not an announcement per se, but it is information
Yeah.
for the community.
It is something that we need to, I've mentioned it before, and actually proposed a policy at one point, but we don't have a website and electronic communications policy. We have a social media policy, but we don't have a website policy. And if we're gonna be talking about what kind of groups that we're gonna be linking to, we need,
Or allowing it.
it can't just be anybody. I mean, I can think of all kinds of nefarious groups. But
Yeah,
we gotta
that's
have
true.
some kind of, but it can't be subjective. It's gotta be something that's really an objective standard that meets our standard in order to be able to be on our town website. And it's sort of willy-nilly at this point. At one point, we said we wouldn't do business advertisements, but then we went back to doing it.
So perhaps it's time to try to craft a website policy then.
That's what I would
I'll
think.
get cracking on it.
I can send you the I think I've already have. It used to be posted to our website, and then it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll.
It was,
I mean, I think we should definitely make sure that we're linking out to community resources, especially when WIC,
Yes.
are they up and running right now?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
So
Really
we
proud
want to
of
make
that.
sure that we have a link out there that,
Where's Tom
that
Lane?
links
This is-
to the WIC website so that if people need more information or if they need to look up the dates and the times that they can get down there, that's definitely something that we want to make sure.
I'll work on that.
Even behavioral health support. If it's pointing people to UCS and it's pointing people to UCS.
Right.
They're outside of our community, but they serve our community.
yeah, no, all of those sound perfectly appropriate, but the point is that we need a policy to govern it, because
To
we're
protect
kind
us.
of willy-nilly right now. If you go out there, there's some things that, well, there
Like you
are
said, it's very
business advertisements
subjective at the moment.
there. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
We should link to due for busing. I'm looking at Mike.
Yeah.
That's the bus schedule when there's a half a day or a 2-hour delay and when the roads are too muddy. Where's pickup?
So, any more talk on that particular topic before we move on to the town hall?
Oh, yeah, no more, no, I don't have any more for that topic.
Not for the mail.
Yeah, for the mail, I mean.
Right.
Okay. Anything else under old business? I know, Bob, you had mentioned something about the town hall.
So, just want to make sure there was nothing else to say on the previous one. So, on the town hall process, I know that we'll be meeting on the 24th to go through it. What I am uncomfortable with is the fact that this board, if we follow the current process, which is just one meeting, I think we need to decide on a process, and I would like to propose. I'm not comfortable voting on going forward with one of these five proposals without talking to each one of the individuals. I think we should have a meeting where the board gets to ask the questions to each one of them. If we gave each of them 15 minutes, that would be an hour and 15 minutes. We can have, I think we ought to open it without them present and have Michael go through the pros and cons of each, give that to us, and then take them in one at a time for 15 minutes. Let them give us a pitch for, say, 5 minutes, and then give us 10 minutes to ask questions. And that way we'll be much more informed. I mean, we're voting on something that's approaching $1 million of town taxpayer money, and I'm just not comfortable voting on it, having never talked to any of the respondents, except for the some of the open sessions they had for the Pownal Historical Society when they brought you in to talk to the schoolhouse.
Mr. Chairman, that is part of our request for proposal, the option to interview. So the respondents know that they could be interviewed, and that's perfectly acceptable.
Now, do we have set questions? So we're going to be asking everybody the same, keep it
I'm
even.
sorry,
Hold on,
why don't
let-
you go ahead?
Sorry, finish
go ahead.
and then
No, I was
Marlene
just
wants to say
going
something.
to say, we're going to think and set a block of questions, therefore we're going to ask everybody the same questions.
That's not what I was thinking, but I think we ought to have a set of questions that we ask everybody. But the other questions can be very specific to their proposals, which will by definition not be the same questions, because we will be tasked with going through and becoming familiar with all 5 proposals so that we can ask very specific questions.
Marlena had something she wanted to say, sorry.
Right, so the point, to what Harry was saying, we have to be extremely careful. Bob's correct, we can ask each individual questions pertaining to their specific submission, but we have to have canned questions, and we have to really make sure that we stick to the time. If we say 10 minutes, 5 minutes for question. And I'll be honest, 10 minutes is not gonna be enough time to ask questions and get responses. I'd say 15 at the most, but we do have to make sure that the exact same questions are offered to every single person that comes in, and you can't expand too much on the individual applicant questions pertaining to their project. It has to be very, very, it has to be confined.
Yeah, but
Because if 2 contractors know each other very well and they say, well, they asked me this, and the other goes, well, they didn't ask me that,
But prior to,
you have to be careful.
if we, because we all have the proposals,
Mm-hmm.
so if we take and look at them and we write down the questions that, the concerns that you have by looking at the proposal first, that will give us a generic set of questions that we all can compile.
Correct.
And then if there's key notes
I
that
still
you
think,
go after that.
if what I'm hearing is true, then we've already violated that. I mean, Michael,
Yeah,
you've
we
gone out
have.
to you've gone out to each one of these and asked them questions very specific to their proposals. And I don't know how you can possibly get through something like $1 million investment without being very specific about the information that was submitted
Well, I didn't
by
ask them,
each one of
I
them.
didn't ask them specific questions on their proposals. There were individual groups that came in and said, we had a tragedy, and would you accept this a week late? And I said yes, and I offered that opportunity to the remaining respondents. So every question was followed by a identical to the remaining respondents and give them an opportunity. As long as you do that, you're fine. I didn't ask any specific questions on their proposals once I got the bids, not one. But I did.
I think, can we reach out to either the VLTC attorney or our attorney and make sure that what kind of leeway do we have? Because our hands are going to be tied as we go forward with a $1 million proposal or something approaching $1 million.
I already did. I spoke.
And that, no, I mean, ask that specific question. And can we really, I would like to, just for my benefit, I would like to see the question and the answer from the attorney.
Okay. I reached out to state.
The VLCT?
No, not VLTT.
Attorney General's office.
No, not the Attorney General. I can't remember. But I reached out to them. I forgot. But that's what they do. Commerce. I forgot their name. But they That's exactly what they do, and I went through this with them, and I had a document I wrote up, and anything you want clarified, I can go back and clarify. That's what they do for
But I
this, man.
did,
Marlena?
And I'm not,
The other thing that we have to be very careful of is when we invite these guests in, they're supposed to be in the building one at a time, and you cannot have multiple bidders in the location at the same time. They should not be hearing or really speaking to each other. When we did this at the state level, you could only invite one person in at a time. We actually had to do it on different days because it's so specific, because you
Would
have
it-
to make sure.
Could we do
under
it via
FOIA
like a teleconference then?
Yep, that would be a very safe way of doing it.
And then
Because-
just pre-schedule with each one, like we will call you at such and such time.
and
Yeah,
that's
that
actually
would be
very good,
very,
because
very
then
good.
it adheres to your other point of you have to be very specific, everybody gets a set amount of time, if they're actually scheduled at a time, and then the meeting
Right.
progresses.
Yeah.
But
That would
but
be
I-
very safe.
I did want to talk about, I did reach out to the VLCT about RFQs and RFPs, and I was told that the select board, this was a slightly different topic, can make a decision and particularly because our RFPs and RFQs have language saying that we can change, and it's up to the select board. I don't have the language in front of me, but it had the disclaimer in it that said we can pick based on whatever our criteria is. I would be very surprised if we couldn't ask specific questions about specific proposals. I would be very surprised if we weren't allowed to do that. But I'll reach out to the VLCT and the lawyer and find out if we can, if that is covered, and I'll piggyback it on the same email that I asked about RFPs and RFQs.
You should be allowed, and you can double check this with the VLCT, you
Yeah.
should be allowed to ask clarifying questions
Yes.
regarding the submission, but you have to make sure that you do it within the time frame that you've established for all parties. So
Right.
if you set a time limit of 20 minutes, then you have to ask the canned questions of everybody and then clarifying, and it has to be clarifying questions to what they submitted, not, well, we didn't see this in there, how would you approach it? It's got to stick to what they submitted. If they forgot to submit something, then they forgot to submit it.
Right, and I would like to hear that from the VLCT lawyer. It's all I'm saying. And then, so the 20 minutes, and I agree, the point of expanding it a little bit, I would prefer 20 minutes. I was trying to keep it all under 2 hours and thought we might have to do a little bit ourselves.
I think I would probably have to go for
But-
30.
But if it went to 30, then you're looking at a very long meeting.
We
Or
might
maybe
have
we
to
split it
do a
into
couple
2
of
days.
special meetings, like contact 2 or 3 of them one night, 2 or 3
Maybe
the
it's
next
two
one.
90-minute sessions. Maybe it's 2 nights back-to-back to get it done quickly.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke to the Office of Purchase and Commerce at the state level and received the information there, and I'd be happy to go to Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns and do that, which,
Purchase and what, commerce?
Office of Purchase and Commerce.
All right, I want to be very careful about, this is $1 million of taxpayer money.
No,
I-
Yeah, we want
You'd
to
like
tread
me-
carefully and make sure we're
Like
above
me
board
to
on
do
everything.
this?
What's that?
Would you like me to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But if you could do it in writing, I would like to see the question and the answer.
Just send us.
Yeah, just send an email, then when you get a response, forward it to us, and,
Yeah,
Yep. Thank you.
you got it.
okay, thank you. All right,
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Is this
Sure.
process going to be public, or is it executive session?
I think the questioning of them would be executive.
Executive
Yeah.
session.
Contract negotiation. Yeah.
Yep.
I had thought about that, and I forgot to mention it, but I think
Because
it
of-
really ought to be
Yeah.
executive session.
Because if it goes public, then it kind of defeats the purpose of questioning them each individually.
No, I understand, because another party could be harmed if it goes public. When do we find out about that? We just find out your conclusion?
Right.
Or we have a list of reasons? Okay. I just wanted to know if it was executive session or public. I'm fine.
I did think about that, and I did forget to bring it up, but I was thinking that those were executive
Probably.
sessions.
Yes.
Because it's contract. It's contract.
All right.
Reg, you got a site? Where's your green book?
So I guess what does that mean on the 24th, right? We have a meeting set up right now for the 24th.
Yes,
That is specifically the town plan.
to talk about,
Right.
yeah,
I'm sorry, the
the
town hall.
proposal.
Town
He's
hall.
kept
The plan for the town hall.
Right.
Right. Correct.
Well, and that's a discussion where we can develop the questions and whatnot.
Yeah.
Correct.
So maybe that's a shorter meeting.
Yeah, that one we'll just hammer out what we're gonna ask.
Yeah.
But then can we talk about that just for 2 minutes here? Just, I guess the instruction for the select board members would be come here with the proposed process or think about the
Yeah,
process.
some ideas.
At the very
And
least,
some
come up with some
ideas.
questions.
If that's what we're gonna be doing, because we'll wanna get in there and get out quickly and not have another 3-hour meeting.
Hey,
I'm really liking the 3-hour
Oh, no, I
meetings,
was shooting
guys.
for 4, Bob.
I say we combine the 3 hours with meeting every week. We can bring a cot, we'll just live here.
Cheese, crackers, makes it a little easier.
Sure, I'll bake.
Mike says we should come in on weekends.
Work right through, every other week as we do.
We're going full-time, people.
All right.
All right.
All right, moving on. Any other discussion for old business? All right, moving on to new business. Mike Gardner, regarding trash and cleanup of a property.
I'm Mike Gardner, live on Hidden Valley Road. I apologize, I had some photos of a property on Hidden Valley. I'm not sure, I think you were invited to visit that property, Mike, did you?
Which I did.
Okay. I took some photos from the road. One of the neighbors, along with myself, are willing to clean up some of the, and I apologize again that I don't have the
Oh,
photos.
okay.
We're willing to clean up the outside trash, for lack of a better term. He has a
Is this an
Little
abandoned
one-ton.
property?
No,
excuse me.
no,
This abandoned?
only by one of the occupants, I believe.
It looks
I
to
don't
me
know
like
what the status of the property is.
He doesn't have garbage pickup is what it looks
I,
like.
Well, I was wondering if it was like a tenant had vacated and just like trashed it on their way out and it's
Kenny?
now abandoned.
Yeah, you guys can, Tom Shuey gave the go-ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
I was umpiring softball games and I didn't
No,
get a chance to
okay.
talk to him.
I,
So
I got that taken care of, that's gonna be.
what we were looking for basically is the stuff is blowing onto our property. Obviously, you know, we're adjoining property owners. And we were just looking to take a couple of 1-ton dump truck loads of trash to the transfer station and dump it at no cost. We're willing, after we obtain landowner permission in writing, to just kind of clean up
Clean
the
it up.
outside a little bit, you know. And I apologize, Mike.
No,
I
that's
didn't
okay.
realize that-
Just a communication, but I talked to the other gentleman, Kenny.
Mike,
Arranged everything with,
Is-
Mr. Shuey.
Is Ken, you just said, is he the
Is that his
property
name,
owner or the
Ken?
neighbor that's willing?
No,
to
he's
help?
the other neighbor.
He's the other neighbor.
He's the other neighbor. We were kind of working in this together.
Yeah.
And-
He brought it to me, I
and-
went up, I took a picture, and I called Tom, and we'll take it, we'll take the materials if they bring it. It was a verbal on the part of the homeowner to let him do it, but he's correct, it would be better to get writing.
Oh, I'm not going over there unless we have it in writing. I can tell you
But
that.
the process is in place, they go ahead and
That's
do
for
it.
sure.
They're gonna show up and start cleaning?
New.
Is that the same?
Yeah, as soon as you obtain that, you're comfortable.
The grandfather lived there
No.
back when we were kids.
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
It's a different landowner.
That's not-
form.
Make it- you
Carol
had to
lived
come here
next
for that,
door,
I
right?
apologize.
No, that's all right. It's fine. I just
Okay.
Mention names.
Hold
I
on.
know.
I need to.
Too many
ask
people
a
talking at
question
once.
here.
Mike, you had something?
Yeah, did you approach the zoning administrator about the
no,
property?
no.
Okay.
We did
I
not.
think they're looking to just do it
We're
like friendly
just looking to
neighbor
get this
before it
cleaned
goes
up
official.
because
I think it's great.
because it's really blowing onto our
I think
property.
the zoning administrator this has to come to his attention.
From us.
No,
From Michael, now that he's seen it.
right.
That's fine.
He has the civil authority to demand a cleanup. If there's garbage, then the health inspector should be notified as well. And however the town wants to approach this about you cleaning it up, I'd be very, very careful about that.
Bob has something he wants to say.
Just that might be true, but it's kind of rubs me the wrong way. We've now got an agreement to do it without getting anybody else involved. Why not just let it go forward and clean it
Yeah,
up? and not make
I'm
it
willing
an
to
issue?
let, if Mike and Ken are willing to, and the property owner is willing
To handle this.
to handle this privately, then I'm okay with it letting go like that. If the property owner refuses and says no, then the town can try to pursue it after that. But if they're willing to try to address it, let's let it just be a civil matter and let them address it. If the town doesn't need to get involved, then let's let the town stay out of it.
And I'm fine with that, Brian, and I am. The only thing I guess that I'd like to see at that point is, can we give the property owner a deadline to respond to us?
That's
And
Yeah,
our
that's
private people, can we give them a deadline of a week or whatever?
you-
2 weeks?
you can-
And I don't care what it
Yeah.
is. I'm just saying, if we can say, if
Yeah.
I can have the board say that this property owner has 1 week or 10 days or 2 weeks, and I don't care what the number is, doesn't matter to me, to respond to
Well,
us.
I
in
tell you
writing.
what. Well, you address the property owner. If you don't get the satisfaction you're looking for, then contact the town, and we can go forward from there.
It's a suggestion. It's probably not something for the board to even consider at this point, but just a suggestion, you'll probably get a quicker turnaround if you approach him with a letter that he can sign that gives you permission.
Oh, for sure,
Right.
absolutely,
Rather than asking
absolutely.
him to draft something.
No,
'cause-
no, for sure. I'll come up with something that says, that we plan to be, and we're thinking that we're gonna be there for a couple hours on a Saturday. I mean, we got a little excavator that we're gonna come in with a thumb and clean it up and put it in the dump truck. And I mean, we kind of got a plan in place. This isn't just something we.
So yeah, get something worked out with them in writing, and if it works out, great. We don't need to be involved as a town. If it falls through, then let us know, and then we can pursue it through other means.
So what I'll do with Tom is when we do clean this up, so that you know it's coming from this property, I will make sure that I'm with that truck.
Well, we need to talk again before you do it, because if there's recyclable things in there, we wanna have recycled. We also wanna put,
Well,
and if there's garbage, it's gonna go one place. If it's,
I know, and that's
Like-
kind of that's kind of where we're at, and I was kind of afraid of that. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not sorting through it by hand. There's no way. I have no idea what's there.
Just because so much of it is already bagged up, you don't know what's inside of the bag.
I really and truly, and I know exactly where you're coming from, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Totally understand that. So if that's what you're gonna request of us, and it's a definite, it's a legitimate request. I give you that. But I'm pretty sure that we don't want to get involved in sorting out what's there. It's pretty nasty.
That's, yes,
to
Could
say
be a
the
health
least.
hazard.
right.
Right, well then-
Right,
Then
Well, if it's in, is it in bags, Mike?
most of it.
It looks like
it looks like it's a
it looks like
combination. Most of it's in
bags
bags.
and
but-
Tupperware
The bags that are
things.
still intact.
You have
Yeah.
the pictures?
I have one
There
picture.
is a large number of bags. Yes, there is. I guess what I could say to you is, some of the things that we know are recyclable, like maybe there's a possibility that we could sort out a lot of the metal stuff and bring over a
Right.
specific load of metal
Exactly.
to the landfill, to the transfer
Bring the
station.
bags all one time, and if your truck's not too big, we can dump it right in.
It's gonna be a 1 ton dump truck.
Okay.
I'm pretty positive of that. So I guess, I don't think we'd have a problem doing that. I mean, but to sort through the bags that are there,
No,
I'm
okay,
not.
no,
That's all reasonable
just
request.
put the bags all together, and then the other stuff you can look at, okay? That'd be fine.
All right, so it
Thank
sounds
you
like you
guys
two
for
should get
doing
together
this.
offline
and I have
and
no
work out
problem.
the details.
Exactly.
You must
So-
stop up and see me on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just please stop up.
I will. I'll
And then we'll have to make make sure we have enough space for some of the stuff
Yeah.
where you can dump it actually.
Mhm.
So
All
we're
right,
gonna
so-
have to do some things with the
Oh,
dumpster, so we'll-
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
no,
wanna take
no
up a
offense,
bunch of
guys.
time.
We want to keep moving this along.
right, I
Take
don't
this
want-
offline. You guys get together outside the meeting, work it out. If it doesn't work out, then by all means, recontact the town, get a hold of Mike, and we'll go
And
from
I'll
there.
just-
And
I'll-
thank you.
And
I can
thank you
come
for
back
bringing it to our
Linda.
attention.
Yep, thanks.
Can I just come back to Linda and say, look, this didn't work out, or how do you
Linda
want me
or
to?
Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah.
See me.
Okay.
whoever answers the phone, whether it be Linda
No,
or
I'll
Mike
just,
on that day.
I'm a through the door person,
Okay.
so.
If Mike's here when you come in the door, talk to Mike. If not, you can address it to Linda.
Okay.
I appreciate your neighborly approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very
Mike,
much.
I would rather see the neighborly approach
Can you
myself.
send me those pictures?
Sure.
So-
Yeah, I got a bunch more actually, so I will.
All right. All right. So,
Thank you.
does
Thank
anybody
you.
want to discuss the Mike Gardner's issue further?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the financial audit bid. Thank you for coming in, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we went out to bid for the next 3-year financial audits, the external auditors, and I received one bid. It's with the Bonadio Group. They are the people that we had before this last 3-year with the gentleman out of Maine. And the prices, you know, you pay for what you get. 2019 audit would be $16,000, and then it goes 500 increments, 16,500 and 17,000
For the 3 years.
for the 3 years. I am hoping that you will take this bid. They are the only people that contacted me for financials. They come into the office, they go through the records. I'm not saying they don't ask for some stuff to be sent to them, you know, but they come in, they spend time with us, they take our books apart. We spend 3 weeks putting them back together, but it's worth every penny. We paid almost this for the last auditor by the time he got done with everything that was asked of him to do anyway. So, and they do a very, I mean, we've had them before.
Can I ask, I know I don't remember off the top of my head, how does that compare to what we budgeted for it?
So we have, I didn't look into the budget. Some of the money comes from the wastewater, some comes from the road, some comes from the general. We do have a little money in the audit fund. We will have to probably budget more for the next audit.
Year.
Yeah.
So really, we're looking at
FY
16,000.
We're for 16,000 right now, and maybe a little higher than what we budgeted, but
It's the only bidder.
Yeah.
it's the only bidder, and I couldn't get any more money to get put into the. Now you have numbers to go on. We didn't have any numbers to go on during budget time, so
Yeah, we're gonna have to add a
they
little
took the
more.
lower bidder the last time, and I mean the audit was fine, everything's great, but these are the only people that are bidded, and they're the only people that are interested. So I don't want to hold it. My reason for saying take them, please, is I don't want to hold up the audit. I don't want another. We've got a lot of loans, you know, stuff going on with Michael's trying to do. You get grants need audits, you know. If you needed a truck loan, they need the audit. The banks want the audits, so we need to keep them current. I was reading through here, and it looked like they're scheduling. They're going to get right on it, and we should have our audit by like October or something, if all goes well. I mean, that's unless they
Oh, I have that one already.
unless they have
That's the
an
one that
issue.
submitted us before.
You
Can I
know,
ask maybe a dumb question?
no, it's no question
Probably
is
is a dumb
dumb.
question.
No,
The last
please.
one.
Only the person
So right
asking.
now,
I didn't even say that, Bob. Come on.
No, I'm just, so for for each year audit, how far, so the audit each year is the previous year, correct?
Right. So what will happen is they're going to come in. They'll see me probably. I think if they said in the middle of June, they'll come in. They'll meet. I sign off on papers, the management letter, etc. They come in. They go. They give me a little rundown. They tell me what they need. I get it ready for them, whatever I can by that time. They meet with us for a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. They meet with us for a little bit, and then they go back. They ask us for more stuff. We send it to them. They compile a whole bunch of information. Then they come in here. They take apart our AP and our payroll. They go through our deposits. They go through my bank statements. They contact the banks to verify that my final totals are what they are. I mean, they do the whole. We're always in communication, and it should wind up, I think they said, at the middle of October. So.
Okay, and it is for the 20,
And it, so it'd be the one that,
2018,
no.
I'm sorry, 2018,
2018, 2019. So
19
June
year.
30th of 2019, our fiscal year ends. But then we have 2 months of accrual. So they'll take whatever there is at the end of June, and they know that there's going to be accruals and money coming in, and bills that come in over the next 2 months that we're going to accrue back. They'll take all that information, but they just keep compiling it as I get it done. And that's what the other auditors do also, but on the basic.
How long into the new fiscal year do they allow journal entries for the previous fiscal year?
I think it was 2 months. Right?
2 months, is it?
To do accruals, you mean?
Yeah.
To do accruals, I can accrual July and August, 60 days. Okay, but I can do journal entries back into FY 219 for another whole year if I had to. But I don't when the audit's wrapped up. As long as the audit's wrapped up, when you go 2 years out and an audit isn't finished, you can't go back. The system doesn't allow you to go back 2 years. So, and it's always, it's required. Our specs, I think, required them to be done. I can't remember now, I forgot. It's usually December 31st.
Yes.
So, and they're gonna have it done before then. They're
think-
booking us early.
I think Bob had a question.
I'm sorry, Bob, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just, I don't know if we have the, we must in this town plan, the town office, the town, the town report. I would just like to know what we budgeted. I don't think it matters. We kind
Give me
of.
that,
It was 9,000.
you know that report I had you pull
But it's
out?
three
When I was
lines,
here, the one
right?
with the capital fund? Yep, that's the one I need. So
is it all
right now,
three?
in our audit fund, because, so the expenses for FY 18 audit, or the money that we had to pay for all the audits that just happened, was $12,000. It was supposed to be 9. But with everything that went down, it ended up being 12,132, so it ate up a lot of our audits. So we have $4,400 right now in our audit fund. In the general.
So you're gonna need,
And then we have 2,000 coming from the road, and I think
And the wastewater's
500
in
coming
there too,
from
right?
500, so there's another 25. But that's not in the audit fund, that's in their budget. This is the general fund. So we're gonna be short no matter who you go with, and we.
No, I understand. I was just trying to get a sense of
Yeah,
how much
so-
short by adding up the three numbers
Right,
in the budget.
right.
That's all I'm trying to do.
But the general
just trying
fund
to come
is
to a
in,
total.
right, and right now the general fund is depends on what you guys do the next few months.
Well, my question was more around the budget, not around what we spent.
Right,
So, I
right.
just
Well,
wanna know.
that's what I'm saying. That's including 2019's budgeted expenses. So those expenses couldn't be accrued back, but the audit fund money rolls because it's specific.
Right.
So when you don't budget enough money per request, then that's, I try to keep money in there, but it's hard to keep the budget
Right.
where people, we try to do the best budget we can, so.
I have a question, Ellen. Can you ask them if they can provide a detailed project timeline regarding deliverables? And
Everything's in there.
well, it's not as specific. I mean, it just says this is our approach.
Here, let me
Did
see.
anybody else want?
I have it.
No.
And I'm
Yeah, I-
sorry,
I have
it's
a
pulling
copy.
apart
Sorry, I thought you
because
had what Marlene was looking at.
I mean, the whole front half is, yes, their background experience, which they're very
Yeah,
well
right.
qualified, but
Right,
I'm not
but it
seeing the
says-
details I'm looking for the project.
The June, July, deliver a final documents to the board, October 15th.
Right. Thanks.
I don't.
So,
can I go
so
back
what
and
I'm
ask
looking
them
for
more
is like early June, on-site information technology review. What does that entail?
we know what it entails. They come in and they start reading minutes, or they come in and they talk to Linda and I. But
Right,
they're
but-
not going to break that. They don't break it because they don't give you all the information, because they come in and ask you. They're auditing. They don't give it to you ahead of time. You that way.
They don't want you to know.
They don't want you to know everything up front, because then, I can have that paper for you
Right.
looking pretty. They're auditing our books as I have
As
them.
is.
Okay.
So they'll, and most of it is, so the meeting, preliminary meeting with management, that would be Linda, me, Michael,
Okay.
Julie maybe.
Okay.
Okay, they could talk
So
to
that is their
listers.
schedule. So
This
that-
is their
okay.
schedule, yes. And you know, they're gonna look for your internal control
Okay.
that's been asked for several times. They're gonna look for, they're gonna test payroll and make sure that, what the time card says is what's in the payroll. I mean, they do all that stuff. They go through, they pick and choose. I give them detailed. They don't know whose is what, and they don't know if it's accounts payable or payroll, and they circle them and they say, you find me the backup to this.
Right.
And
Okay.
we need to have it. They don't give that to you ahead of time.
Okay.
They give it to me like a week's notice. So we,
Sometimes if that.
if that,
Okay.
sometimes they ask me while they're here.
So,
Um,
well, I just want one question.
Go ahead.
So you sent the proposal out generically or to specific companies for bids?
The-
How'd you,
It was posted,
it
wasn't
was
it?
just
The
posted?
The bid went to the paper like we
Okay.
normally do.
All right, and these people are the only ones that actually responded? Okay,
Right.
That's all I wanted to verify.
Yep.
So, yeah,
So motion to approve the Bonadeo Group financial audit bid?
I second it.
All right, there's a motion to approve the Bonadeo Group for the audit bid. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Marlena? No? Okay. All right, motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion that we take a quick 5-minute bio break.
For recess.
I'm
Second
waiting
it.
for a second.
Second it.
All right, there's a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Reconvene.
All right, let's reconvene. Gravel crushing bid, next item on the agenda.
2 bids were received, one from Basin Brothers Trucking and one from, pronounce it correctly, Gallivan Trucking. Basin came in at $5.95 per cubic yard. Gallivan was $7.85 per cubic yard. Road foreman and I recommend you accept the bid of Basin Brothers Trucking at $5.95 per cubic yard. That'll be crushing 4,000 cubic yards.
I motion to accept the basin bid for $5.95 per cubic yard.
I second it.
All right, there's a motion to accept Basin
contract.
Brothers
Oh, we gotta wait.
at
for-
$5.95 a cubic yard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I think this gets one signature from you.
Sorry, I'm just sneaking in.
There you go.
Okay, all right, moving on to 2019 Select Board appointments.
I make a statement before you go through all of the various appointments, because I think you have a lot of appointments.
We do.
There are a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm fine with Mike speaking.
So, I originally came in here because of appointments to the Planning Commission, which we now need 4 with Fred's resignation. And my concern was that I was on the website this morning and called Michael about this and didn't see any of that posted. So I didn't know if it was posted and then taken down because today's the day you're gonna appoint. That could well have happened. Linda has assured me though that they've been posted in all the proper posting places, Town Hall, Winchester's.
It was on the website.
It
so I remember
was.
I
seeing
think
It
it.
wasn't originally on the website, yeah, not there anymore, only the Economic Development Committee's there.
Okay.
But that's not now why I'm here.
Just to be clear on that, the Economic Development Committee is in the news section, so it's easy to find.
But I
if you
went
go to-
down.
You went down to
Yeah, I went down
open
into
positions.
the opportunities, employment opportunities, it wasn't there today. So I think maybe Jen took it down because today, like,
Premature.
it ran till today and she took it down. That's fine, that's okay. I'd like the board to consider restoring the planning commission to 7 members, to reduce it from the current 9. I know I've been asked before if 9's okay. We've worked with 9 for the last couple of years. We were a 7-member group for probably 10 years before then. We did not have trouble getting quorums. We didn't have any of those issues at all. Meetings are smoother, they're shorter, which is another thing I want to talk to the board about. There's some pretty good interaction. I can give people a little bit more time with 7. It means we need a quorum of 4, obviously, versus 5. It means we need 4 to advance and to advance a motion. 4 people have to vote affirmatively to do that. So if 4 show up, 4 have to vote affirmatively. I would like very much to go back to that. I look at now, there are 4 openings. I think this is a good time to go back to the way we had it. A little bit of history. The 9-member, 3 to 9 is the legal limit in the state for your planning commission. Several years ago, 9 was imposed upon us. I was the chairman at the time. There was no reason given. I had to seek out the reasons for it. And the then chair said something along the lines of, it'll be easier for you to get a quorum. And I told that chair we weren't having any trouble getting a quorum anyway, or advancing motions or decisions. But at that same time, we wound up with an ex officio member. And I think to add an ex officio member, that went from 7 to 8, and they felt they needed a 9th, I think. Speculation on my part. Which the ex officio member could not vote, could not make motions, so we really had 8 people anyway. So we could have easily have been deadlocked. Anyway, I think it defeated the purpose of having 9. So we wound up with an 8-person board. I like to go back to 7, because I vote. I vote almost every time. I rarely abstain. I'll recuse once in a while. I would like very much for this board at this time, or in the very near future, before you appoint anybody else to this, before you appoint 4 people to it, to consider appointing 2 and giving us a 7-person board. Okay.
Discussion?
Yeah, definitely I want to have a discussion.
Yeah.
I'll let Bob go first.
All right, my knee-jerk reaction is to stick with 9. I think the only ex officio you had was Ron, and he's no longer. If we appoint him tonight, he won't be ex officio anymore. He'll have a vote. So I don't think that's an issue. I do see the point that it's
No, I was just giving you a history.
I understand. I do see the point that it's easier to reach a quorum when you only need 4 for a quorum. But at the same time, I think a larger board. Well, first of all, we have the interest. These people are interested in becoming part of our town and having a say. Right. And I think the larger board. I've only given this thought since you mentioned that you wanted to change the size of it, but it seems to me that is more likely to be representative of the citizens of Pownal and the needs of Pownal, because you're hearing more voices. Now that does necessarily mean more discussion, longer meetings, and I'm still very much in favor of it, at least right now. Very much in favor of keeping the board at 9, and it also makes it very easy, since we've got a resignation. We've got 4 people interested.
Well, I think because the recent resignation was after the posting, I don't think we can fill that spot. I think we have to warn
post that again.
Post it again. True. Am I correct, Linda? Right. So we could actually only appoint 3 tonight, and then.
That's true, but if we had it all posted
for
a week.
Marlena.
I'm sorry.
Thanks. Mike, when did it go from 7 to 9? What do you remember what year?
3 years ago, I think. 3 or 4 years
Probably
ago.
more than that.
And the reasoning
anymore.
for that was just because? But
That's
it had
all
been
I-
operating fine with 7.
Well, that's it all centered around the time the ex officio was appointed. That's when
There's
that
no
started.
voting for that person anyway,
Yeah.
but they counted them as
It was all quite vague.
body.
I mean, I just literally showed up. There was no discussion. Nobody approached me and said, we'd like to go to 9. There was none of that. It was just the select board imposed 9, period, which they have every right to do.
Hold on now.
And there was no basis
finish
to
this
it.
thought.
I thought we weren't having any difficulty with quorums. We weren't having any difficulty with anything. We had a good cross section in those 7 people, as we would in these 7 people.
All right,
So,
Harry wants to say something.
Harry.
Well, you say 8, but for whatever reason, I thought most of the boards are supposed to be an odd number. Anyways.
Oh no! Can I clarify that?
Yeah.
Because Ronnie couldn't vote, I technically had 8 people.
I understand that technical thing,
Yeah.
but I thought, because we just changed the other group to an odd number because
Yeah.
of that's the way the standard was. And as far as sending it back out because Fred put his resignation in, we could be sitting here with 13 or 14 letters of interest from said post of already if they were truly interested. And we do have, I mean, I agree with Bob as far as we have 4 people that are interested in it, and you do get a broader group.
A bigger cross-section of society.
Of our town, yeah, with a larger board. I mean,
Potentially.
If I could,
Good. Bob?
I just wanted to chime in with, I wouldn't anticipate that we'd get a lot more unless somebody unless there's some recruiting going on. I suppose that could happen.
Well,
But this has already been posted for the 3,
right,
and it's
that's
been
where I
out
was-
there for a while.
Right.
So, and we've got 4 interested.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure if we really need to go back out, because we've already gone out. We've already asked for interest. We have 4 interested, and we have 4 positions.
I think just procedure-wise, because it's a new vacancy.
It is a new vacancy.
It's a new vacancy.
That's true,
Okay.
but I think the board, so I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
I think the board has the authority to do that anyway. And it just practically, it seems to me that.
Practically, it makes sense, but I just want to make sure that we do things
And
legally.
the board does have the right to do that way.
Well-
Bob's absolutely right. Just the right thing to do is to post that position since it just came up.
I think that that's fair to post that position.
I think that's
it's
the
a
appropriate way to do it. Myself, I mean,
If that's how it's always done.
yeah.
Mike,
Linda.
the planning commission, because the letter was received yesterday, the planning commission is not even aware of the resignation,
right.
technically, right?
Just myself,
Just
because it was
yourself.
in my box.
Right.
So it hasn't been accepted, is what you're
That's
saying.
why, right.
So it hasn't been
It has not
technically
even
accepted.
gone to the commission.
Okay.
Well, it wouldn't.
So
You're the ones that have to accept the resignation and then,
Yeah, and we voted to
Yeah.
accept it.
as much as I'd like to
You know,
think we have
they would
something to
know.
say.
They would know. I mean, that was just so short of notice, in my opinion, but.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Marlena?
I have another question, Mike. So when the 9-member board was imposed on the planning commission, do all 9 members always show up?
Probably 70 or 80% of the time. I have 9 people there,
Okay.
yeah.
And 9 people includes an ex officio, so really you have
Not anymore,
8.
but did.
Right, well, that's what I'm
Right.
talking about.
So
but
then,
did.
you're right, that's where I came
So
up
then
with
you,
the eight.
you
That's
still
where they
had
got it
8,
from.
so you could still be deadlocked.
Yeah,
Okay.
which fortunately.
Which even
we
if you
didn't
went
have
down
that
to
problem.
7, the same thing could happen because you
Right.
could wind up with 6 and the same thing would happen. Okay.
Right. Regarding the distribution of, different viewpoints and everything, I agree with Bob about that. I don't think there's a huge difference between 7 and 9. If we really thought that, why are we the only board with only 9? Except for maybe the Economic Committee, which doesn't form policy, we do. Why doesn't the Select Board have 7 or 9?
Right.
You know?
We did.
No, that's right.
That's a good point. Why
yeah.
why is a select board 5? Does that
Right,
mean that we
right.
should
Right.
tell
Because of
everybody
the
else they can
interest?
drop down to 5?
Yeah.
Did you ever run alternates? In
We
case you had
can't.
absenteeism?
We used to and we can't anymore. The state has said no alternates in planning commissions. You can have an alternate or 2 alternates in your DRB. You can no longer have them. And that's about the time that we discovered that we had magically 9 people all of a sudden.
Were the ones you added end up being your alternates? Could that have been the logic that you didn't
No.
want to lose the people?
No, they didn't. They were assigned by the select board, and in those early years of 9, 2 or 3 of them, some of them didn't last 2 or 3 meetings, and we were looking for new people. Others lasted 2 or 3 years, but didn't show up at the beginning. Showed up for things that they thought was anything that they thought might be important, they would show up for. But if it was just the mundane business of the planning commission, they oftentimes weren't there. In fact, I had letters penned to have them removed from the planning commission for that reason.
Lack of
Nature took care of itself, and they left anyway.
Okay.
So,
Bob?
Just, I'm sorry to be just chiming in so much.
No, it's fine. That's why we're having
But
a discussion.
just a point of disagreement is I know you think that there's ideological diversity on the planning commission. I think it needs more. And that's why I'm very much pushing for the 9. And I think anybody who was involved in the citizen input portion of the town plan would agree that that came out in a very strong ideological bent. And we made it more inclusive. I believe that whole process made it more inclusive of our citizens, from what was originally drafted to what we ended up with. So I think that we do. I don't believe that we have the ideological diversity that we need on that commission. Or I think we're less likely to have it with a smaller board, with a smaller commission.
Well, I think we're also limited on.
I think it makes sense. I mean, I disagree with that. I think we're absolutely fine.
Well,
because we're open to the public anyway. We're open to the public. You can come in.
Mike, hold on. I want to finish my thought here.
Sorry, Brian.
So, I think to Bob's point, as far as diversity on the board, we're also limited by who expresses interest and puts a letter of interest in.
Right.
Right.
So I know in years past we've had openings, and you might have 2 or 3 openings. If only 2 or 3 people apply for it, that's you get who you get.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true.
Right.
So, I mean, if people want more diversity, they need to step up and become more involved in civic responsibility and get more involved.
Right.
Okay.
And they need to come to our meetings.
Right.
Just as they did during the writing of the town plan, during our public hearings.
Yeah.
That's where the diversity comes in.
The public
Planning
input.
board,
Right.
Planning board is putting forth ideas. I don't believe they're slanted one way or the other, because it's going to be open to public scrutiny anyway. So I just want 7 people that work hard, that know their way around a typewriter, what do they call those things? Keyboard, that can take assignments and run with it and not sit there and just pontificate. So better shot at that smoother, more efficient board at 7 than 9.
And I want all those things too. I just want 9 of them.
Well,
I have a question.
go ahead, Marlene.
Thank you. So I have 2 questions.
Yes.
One, you quasi-answered, Mike, because these meetings are open to the public. The public you did, you quasi-answered it. The meetings are open to the public. The public can come. They can participate in the conversation. It's not just 7 or 9 people sitting around the table making decisions unless nobody from the public comes and engages in the conversation.
Correct.
Because you still have to move forward. That being said, just curious, these are stipend positions. So magically, a few years back, they just came up with additional funding to just magically add more people to the board.
I think I wish Alan were still here.
But again, magically.
I don't think we've actually always gone through our budget anyway. So when they put people on, there was room to pay them.
Okay.
Anyway.
Just making sure.
No, that's fine. And I can't stress that part enough about we can't do anything without public input. We can't do anything that then isn't sent to this select board for its approval, where we can't make unilateral decisions as a group. So there is plenty of diversity, and that was proven in the town plan. In our 2 meetings, we listened intently to what people wanted, and we did make changes. It was a good, inclusive process.
Do you have any rules regarding attendance of appointed members?
Yes.
Like they have to
Yeah.
be there 100% of the time, 90% of the time, or
No, they
you miss
need
more
a
than 2
valid
meetings, you're done?
excuse. They need a valid excuse, and in 3 meetings without a valid excuse, they're done. And we're trying to make that even tougher. We have a proposal now that we're discussing to make that even tougher.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
And maybe it's just perception, but during the discussion on the town plan, there was a lot of collaborative effort and there was a lot of compromise. But there was also vehement defending of the things that were in the town plan and a lot of resistance to getting the changes. So it was not as smooth as you might say, and I think there was a lot of public statements made about those of us who wanted to see changes that were somewhat derogatory. So I don't fully agree that it was. I agree that the overall result was good, We put in some flexible language into it as well, so it's not as rigid as it was.
Correct.
And it was more inclusive. We expanded the vision. We got some changes to the economic and housing. We got the changes, but it wasn't
So that's inclusive.
That's inclusive. But there were robust and very, very strong defenses of not making those changes.
There were, and I think that's to be expected. You know, I mean, everybody has an ideology and they stick to it. We bent a lot in the formation of that plan. Yeah, we pushed back a lot too, and I wouldn't do it any different, by the way, going forward. And
Marlena wants to say something before we get too
It
far.
would be the same case on the bylaw, I can assure you. So.
Okay.
Mike, there was a lot of public communication during the town plan discussions. Prior to that, how much public engagement would you say that on average you had at Planning Commission?
It depended on what the topic was, you know, what we posted in an agenda. There were times where we have 2 or 3 people here asking questions. There would then be 3 meetings in a row. We'd have nobody show up, which is not uncommon.
And it's kind of the same for our meetings.
Sure.
Where sometimes we have nobody here, and other times,
Yeah.
like tonight, we had a full house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not uncommon.
We had 2 people yesterday.
But it certainly
Did
was.
we even have that many?
There was no lack of encouraging the public to be part of that process. That's for sure. But this isn't a referendum on that. I'm just saying, my request is simple. Let's go from 9
You want to
7.
drop from 9 to 7.
Yeah.
You've stated your reasons why.
Yeah.
Bob has stated
I
his
think we've
reasons
got-
why he's opposed.
We've got the interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I'm. There's
Okay.
interest, so I don't.
Yeah, with there being interest, I'm reluctant to want to shrink the size of the board as well.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see more civic involvement. So I don't really want to do anything to discourage people from being involved. I mean, I understand what Mike's saying as far as, you know, wanting to shrink it because that it used to be 7. It worked well with 7. You know, he says it was imposed on them to run with 9. It's worked with 9.
Yeah.
There has been, you know, with
really fight
the
that.
town plan, it sounds like there was compromise. There was a lot of heavy debate. Well,
Right.
that's
the
a
purpose.
democracy. That's the purpose of it.
There
you
you
know?
go.
Yeah.
Well, and if it wasn't for that, I would have Thursday nights free.
Right.
That's what it took.
Had we known that.
Oh, does anybody else want to discuss it or put it to a vote on whether or not what to do with the board? Leave it the same? Change it?
So I don't think we need to vote on it. I think if anybody wants it to go to 7, it'll be up to them to make a motion.
Well, that's what I mean. You know, or are we still debating it?
I think.
Does anybody want to change it to 7? Any motion to change it to 7?
I have to agree with Mike. Why are we encouraging other committees, commissions to be 7 or 9 members in length when we, the board, are 5 members in length? Why can't we give them that flexibility? Why can't we listen to the chair and let the chair determine that? If they feel that they would be
Well,
able to operate more efficiently.
Ultimately,
or-
the select board is the board that has the power, and the power of the other commissions and boards is derived from us.
Correct.
We derive our power dictated from the state, and we're elected by the voters. So I appreciate the input from the chairs of the other boards, but ultimately it is our decision to what we feel works best. So, anyway, Harry, you wanted to say something?
Originally, the town had 3 select persons.
I remember that.
As the population grew, it was decided to go to 5.
And
And then as far as that and people willing to take and do the job.
and for valid reasons, I think 5 is covered by statute, just as 3 to 9 is covered by statute.
Yeah.
That's
Correct.
correct.
So it's 3 to 5, I think, is what the select board is.
And,
Right.
I mean, in my opinion, right now, if we only had one person showing interest, it would be hands down. Yeah, we might as well shrink the size of the board.
And I'm not debating that. Do we have term limits for people who, okay.
Yeah,
On the
four-year
planning commission,
terms.
you mean?
It's a four-year
Yeah.
term.
Regarding this is really nice to have 4 people. I agree with you. The next time around, you could have 3 openings and no people. And
Right.
we've seen that more often than 4 people. So
Correct.
you,
Yeah.
you do have to take that into consideration.
And I guess
What
my
happens
thing
when that-
is
It's easier to
if
fill a 7-person board.
we
Hold on.
want people to come forward
Right.
and be a part of the community, and at this point, they are, and if we are saying, no, we're just gonna put it down to 7, I feel like that's gonna make people,
Yeah, it can turn
Well,
people off, and I don't want to do that.
That's
I want
just where
people to
I'm
be
But it's
involved.
Right.
And it's also true that if it's at 9 and we only have 7 interested, then it's 7 until you get 2 more people interested.
Correct.
But if it's 9 and we have 9 people interested, it's 9.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
know, you leave the flexibility to
Right, and
put
you're-
people in if they're interested in
Right.
serving.
And your quorum goes by this number of sitting members at the
Yeah,
time. So,
regardless how
Correct.
many show
And-
up to the
correct.
meeting, you have to reach a quorum based on the number of
and
positions.
right now, we've got, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, we have 3 people on this that are willing, 3 out of the 4 that have been presently sitting on the board.
One of which was ex officio.
Correct. And Mr. Bushy was a new person applying.
Yes.
So that gives us the 4. But
Yeah, I mean, 9's not the worst thing in the world, guys. It's just my
No.
preference to have 7,
Mhm.
just to let you know that.
All right. So, is there a motion to change the size of the board, or are we going to leave it the same? Or while we continue the discussion as well.
I think status quo.
But I think
right
everybody's had their
Well, I
say.
think
my
to
own-
Elizabeth's point,
Yeah.
we have the interest.
Yeah, and
now, as of right now.
And then I would make a recommendation that should there not be the interest in the future, then reapproach and,
yeah, I would be okay with that. You know, if the interest falls away and we don't have the interest, then I'm fine with shrinking the size of the board. Then it becomes easier to reach a consensus based on attendance.
or if you have attendance issues,
Yeah, through your
Yeah.
bylaws.
and then please come back and say, we've,
Right.
Yeah.
this is what's happening and
Yep.
we'll readdress.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. So, all right. Sounds like we're going to leave it the same. Leave it at 9.
Yeah, I don't even think you need a motion for that.
No, we don't need a motion to leave it. I just want to make sure. I don't want to move on and
Thank you,
stifle
Mike.
discussion.
Yeah,
Thank you,
my
Mike.
pleasure. Good to see
All
everybody.
right. So, all right.
Okay.
What order do you want to do the
I'll take
appointments
cream and
done?
sugar, please.
You just start at the top on fence viewers and work our way down.
Now, can
Yeah, go ahead.
because we've accepted Mr. Miller's resignation,
Yes.
I feel that there's 4 members, or 4 open positions.
Well,
I think
And-
there's valid points both ways.
So,
I mean, we had
that's
open
why-
positions. I agree with you. I think we had open positions posted. If this was a new vacancy and there weren't other vacancies already there, then I
That's-
think you'd have to
right,
post it.
that-
But I think this is
Yeah.
the way for this board to be more efficient, I think, is to say we did post 3 positions. We know we have a 4th position. Why not?
I understand that position, but
I don't think.
being
we
efficient
can.
isn't always the government way.
Right, but I don't think we can because the planning commission doesn't know.
Yeah, they haven't officially been
officially
notified yet,
notified.
so
Okay,
It's,
so
that's got to wait
Oh,
until
that's
their
right.
next
I'm sorry.
meeting. So
okay.
So we can't.
we can do 3, and then it goes open to the public for somebody
Correct,
to apply for put a letter of interest in.
correct.
what I
So
would
to
also,
appoint
what I
3.
would, I would
And I hope
suggest
we
on the
get
board-
bombarded with letters of interest for that
Correct.
4th position.
What I would absolutely suggest, though, is
Yeah.
because somebody did show interest, whoever gets left out here should get. to
Should put their
borrow-
letter in.
Right.
Should borrow a term from the town plan, should get substantial deference when we think about them, when we think about who we're appointing, because the only reason we're extending this is to adhere to the policy.
Right.
It
Yes.
was posted, these
Right.
are the 4 that applied. I think
Right.
if we come in, unless there's a really compelling reason to go with somebody different than these 4,
Right.
then we ought to. That's
Yeah.
just my suggestion.
I feel that we should evaluate anybody who submits a letter based on their qualifications at time of submission. We have to give everybody.
Well, I was going to say,
equal-
based on the letters that I'm looking at here,
Right.
nobody submitted any resumes. It's just
Well-
literally,
Right.
I want to be on the planning
continue.
commission.
Correct.
I'd like to continue Yeah, that's,
Well, yeah, the folks that have been on there, but
so,
if you've never been on it before, kind of like what we did for economic development,
Right.
people had to state why.
Yeah.
What were they bringing to the table? Just saying.
But
I
that's
wanna
not
do
a
it 'cause-
requirement of asking, putting a letter of interest.
right,
Correct.
so,
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but, I mean,
It's a little bit different when you're dealing on a municipal level than when you're dealing in the private world.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Thanks. You got to reel me in every now and then
Now, is it,
when you're submitting. Your
so how do you guys want
So
to
how do we
pick
do
out of the
this?
4? You want
Well,
to just go in alphabetical order?
well, I wanted to, that's
Wait a
what a
minute.
question I wanted to ask.
You're gonna start at the top, right?
We have to
You
start at
have
the
to go
top.
down the line.
Oh, sorry.
Just start at the
Right.
top and go
Don't jump
down.
in the middle, we'll lose where we are.
Okay, well,
Oh, we're
When we-
hopscotching.
when we come to the planning commit, I
So
got
this is the number.
All right. Then let's.
another question.
We'll
when
get to
we
that when we get to it. Let's start at the top of the list to work our way down. All right. So top of the list is fence viewers
Yep.
or viewer. There's a 1-year term. Looks like it can be up to 3 people. We have one interested party, Dave Dents. Anybody want to talk about it?
Nominate
Dave?
Dents.
That's a,
All right, we have a nomination.
Second.
All right, we have a nomination or motion to approve Dave Dents. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, congratulations, Dave. All right, moving on to pound keepers for small animals. There's a 1-year term. It's vacant. Nobody put a name in, at
right.
least on my list.
No.
Nope.
No.
So, all right, so that one's going to remain open. Pound keepers for large animals, 1 position for 1-year term. Nobody expressed a letter of interest. That remains open. Surveyor of wood, we have 1 vacancy for 1-year term. Dave Dents has.
I nominate David Dents.
All
Second,
right. All right. Motion to approve Dave Dents. All in favor, say aye.
aye,
All opposed? I'm in favor, by the way. Aye. Sorry.
Sorry.
Moving on to inspector of lumber and shingles for a single position for 1-year term. Dave Dents.
I nominate David Dents.
second,
All right. All right. Motion to approve Dave Dents. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Sensing a pattern.
Welcome to town politics.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Marlena.
Okay. And Linda or Michael, if either one of you can chime in. For tree warden, wood surveyor, fence viewer, how many years has David been
for a long
that
time.
individual?
For a long time,
Yes.
and previous to that, it was his father because they're forestry people.
Correct.
Well, I was going to say, why have we not considered increasing
The
it
term.
from a year to like 3 years so that he doesn't have to do it every single year? I mean, unless we have another
I mean, unless it,
forestry
yeah.
individual in the town who just, I don't know. David's a young guy. It's not like he's going anywhere anytime soon. I'm just curious.
That's an interesting question.
The board can change.
Board can change it.
By vote.
Would we have to? Could we do that tonight, or do we have to warn it and change it?
You can do that tonight.
Now, do we have to
Let
ask
him know?
It's been
Yeah.
done in the past. The 911 the 911 coordinator was changed by motion of the board from 1 year to 2 years.
Without notifying him, can we still appoint him?
I was gonna say, I think we'd have to
Because
notify him and
we're
make sure he's
changing
okay
the
with
status
it.
of
He's
the
Why don't you just
first interest.
start it? You can make a motion tonight for next year,
Okay,
beginning
Okay.
next year.
all right.
I'm fine with that.
I'd like to make a motion that we increase these terms from 1 year to 3 years.
By
Starting
these
in
terms, which
2020,
ones are you speaking of?
I will read them.
Thank you.
Fence viewer,
Okay.
wood surveyor,
Okay.
inspector of lumber and shingles,
Okay.
tree warden,
Okay.
and is that everything that has to do with forestry?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thank
Bob.
you.
All right. Motion to increase the term of the positions Marlena just listed out from 1 year to 3 years. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? All right.
It's gonna look less impressive on his resume. So he's elected tree warden 37 years in a row.
What if he says no? No.
I somehow don't think Dave will say no.
No.
All right. So where'd we leave off? Inspector of lumbers and shingles?
Yeah.
All right. Did we
Did we do tree
vote on that
warden?
one?
No, we didn't do tree warden yet.
I think we need to do tree.
All right. Tree warden for a single position for 1 year term. Dave Dents has submitted a letter.
Make a motion to nominate Dave Dents for the tree warden.
I second that.
All right, motion to approve Dave Dents. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm in favor, by the way, aye. Okay, home health represent.
One moment. Just so I'm clear, the 1 year to 3 years begins when?
Next year.
Next year.
I'd like to
Next
begin
year.
it now, but I
March-
guess we have to
March
begin it.
20.
I would feel
2020?
comfortable to ask the individual
Yeah.
who submitted
Yes.
their name.
I agree.
Yeah, so I
Even
think
though
it
he's
has
the
to be
same
effective next year.
person.
The last
I
30
think it
years.
would be
Join the French
appropriate.
Foreign Legion.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
starting for calendar year 2020.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, March.
thank you.
All right. Should we do a revote on that just so we have the appropriate language written in? Make it official? Because we
Marlena
didn't
voted-
specify
Marlena
when.
moved to amend.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And we all
Is there a
agree.
second to approve the
Second.
amendment?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor of approving the amendment, say aye.
Bob approved.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right, home health representative, or did I do that one?
No.
Yeah,
All right,
there's-
home health representative for a single person for 1 year, nobody applied for it, remains vacant. Vermont Emergency Management Coordinator, single position, 1 year with a stipend of $1,000. Sorry, for a stipend for $1,000 a year. Craig Odell.
Yeah.
I nominate Craig Odell.
I second that.
All right, all in favor of approving Craig Odell for the position, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, wait.
That's
Sorry.
also
No, no, no.
always.
I'm an aye.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we increase the,
I have to finish if anybody's opposed first. Is anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now you can
okay,
go.
I'd also like to make a motion that we increase the term of the emergency management coordinator from 1 year to 3 years. If you've ever worked as an emergency management coordinator, 1 year, you're just getting your feet wet in 1 year, and to have that rolled over potentially by a different person every year could really mess up emergency response in a disaster. So I just think it would be better. If there's somebody else that has interest, then give them 3 years, because you're just getting your feet wet. You're coordinating with all other sorts of resources throughout the state, and a year's just not long enough to
Is that,
get a process in place.
just a quick question, that one comes with a stipend, so I'm not sure if that's covered by statute, or it might be.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so is the term covered by statute, or is that
That I
something?
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
we'll
think,
know that.
That one
probably
might
more
require more
appropriate,
research.
let's look
Okay.
into it, because we're
Make
not
sure.
gonna make it effective this year anyway, we can vote on it in the next meeting.
Right. It
Okay.
would be for starting in 2020, but let's look at that.
Okay.
Well, then we'll have Mike or Linda look into that, get back to us, and we can put that on our next meeting.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Okay. All right, so warn that in the next meeting, please, Linda. And then, Mike, you can find out about that, please.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
May I also make another suggestion?
Absolutely. Anytime.
The home health person.
Yep. Home
That's
health
been
rep.
vacant for a long, long time, and I learned today at my seminar that most towns have a town service officer. It's an old appointment from very long ago, and that person was in charge of the poor and what community needs were needed, and help to raise monies to care for the poor in the community. And I was thinking that I don't really know if home health, because we call it home health, is it the same position?
What was it
I was
called?
gonna
What, I mean,
ask
what
you
do
what
they
it
Town
call it?
service
Town
officer?
Service officer.
That's the new term, or
That's the old.
It's the old.
the old term? Okay.
I don't know if home health is different. I don't know, I think it needs some research.
All right.
And if it should be town service officer, then maybe we should be calling it that.
All right. Mike, sounds like you got more homework.
Oh, okay.
All right, so then if it turns out that that's what it should be, let's warn that for the next meeting and we can change that.
Okay.
All right,
BCRC delegate.
yes, thank you. BCRC delegates, there's a single position open for 3 years. Walter Klinger has expressed interest in it.
I nominate Walter Klinger.
Second it.
All right, motion to approve Walter Klinger. All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Or all in favor, say aye. Sorry.
Aye.
I am really tired, people. I apologize.
That's what happens.
All right, so I approve it as well. So all opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so Planning Commission, there's 3 open vacancies. They're all 4-year positions, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, they're all 4-year positions with a stipend of $300 per year. We have 4 people interested, Ron Bizon, Jim Winchester, John Boucher, and Barbara True Weber.
Yep.
All right, now we can engage in our discussion on who we're gonna pick and how.
Say, I nominate and then weed it out that way. How do you?
Well, I
We can
did.
do either. We can start with a discussion, or we can nominate and second, and then have a
Yeah.
discussion.
Well, I would assume just because there's
You have to nominate
4, there's
individuals,
3,
right?
there should be at least a little discussion, because we're gonna leave
Okay.
one of them out.
Yeah.
I mean, as a board, I think we would heavily encourage them to submit a
No,
letter for the
discussion
next
has
one.
to happen. I was just saying that you could do the discussion either way. You get a nominate, second discussion, or we can discuss and then go to see who nominates, see if anybody nominates.
Oh, okay, I got you there.
Yeah, discussion has to happen, though. I agree.
All right, so, who wants to start off? Volunteers?
I'd like to consider providing individuals who have not currently sat on the planning commission an
chance to serve?
opportunity- a chance to serve, because they've stepped forward.
And they
one of
wanna
the
show
things that I
interest?
hear a lot from our community members is people are tired of seeing the same people on all the different committees and commissions, and when you start seeing new names, let's give them an opportunity.
I like that idea.
So, I think that's a pretty good idea. And then, but I would also say that, I'm going to strongly recommend Ronnie. But even though he served, he was ex officio before. Now he would be a voting member.
Yep.
And of course, he's been around forever. He's been on the planning commission. He knows our town plan really well. I think
He knows
years and
everybody in
years.
town.
Knows everybody in town, and as a plumber, he's familiar with state codes. He's an entrepreneur. I mean, he's
Yeah.
and very familiar with the select board process procedures of our town. So to me, he's a slam dunk.
Okay. You guys want to do nominations individually, or do you want to hammer out
Well,
a
I think
group
we
of
have
3
to do
first?
them individually because
Right.
we have to, because it's good. We're leaving somebody out, right?
Yeah.
Now,
And along the lines, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that whoever doesn't get on this particular meeting, I don't feel they should have to submit a letter of intent.
I think only procedural wise they have
Or
to.
do they? I don't think
No,
they have to.
their old letter would still
But
apply?
we already have it, so it'll
Right.
go
Okay.
right into that.
So
Well, I didn't know if
we-
their letter of interest only pertains to this particular
Well,
posting.
it's because there's so many openings.
No, it would hold over to the
So
next
that-
one,
that-
correct, Linda?
Well, my thought was like when we all ran, you had to submit your petition, and your petition only applied for that one position.
Terry, you're not elected.
Right.
These are not
These are
elected.
They're
appointments.
appointments.
And
I think
Thank
with that, I nominate Ron Bisson for.
All right. Is there a second for
planning
Ron?
commission.
I'll second it.
Well,
I
I'd
don't know.
like to
Go
have
ahead.
discussion
Oh,
before we
sorry.
submit,
Yeah.
because we haven't discussed Mr. Winchester, and I
strongly
that's-
recommend-
And that's fine. That's fine.
Well,
You can do
I
a
mean-
second, and then you say discussion, and then you can
Right.
talk about Mr. Winchester before we
Right.
do it, and then we can actually have another
Okay.
proposal in it.
mhm.
I'm not sure if Mr. Winchester's currently serving.
Yes.
That's what I was just gonna go.
He is.
He is.
Okay,
Yes.
so he's currently serving, and Mr. Winchester is also an entrepreneur. He's worked in the community for a very long time. He's very familiar with our town plan. He's very familiar with many of our buildings, our history.
He's actively involved in
Actively
almost
involved
everything in
everything.
town.
Yep. And, so I would have nominated Mr. Winchester this evening. Knowing that there's going to be an opportunity for Mr. Bizon, who just came off the board. Because we do have that 4th position that's going to be open.
All right, so we had a motion on the table
Which is and a
for
second.
Mr. Bizon with a second. So we can vote on that, then You can make a
You
motion
have a
for
motion
Mr.
on
Winchester.
Jim, right?
When you guys are,
Yeah, when we're done.
Well-
when
All
we're
right.
done.
So,
All right, no, you can go, you can
Oh,
go ahead
Liz,
and.
Alyssa.
Harry seconded that.
Yeah, Harry seconded
Sorry.
Bob's.
Right.
Brian did.
Now, did,
well, I think we both did. So
yeah, either,
flip a coin. I don't
Who
care.
wants it?
I don't,
Harry
So,
can have it.
Can I? Did you want to go?
well, I didn't know if she made a motion or if that was just discussion.
She said you
That
hadn't
is-
motioned yet.
There's a discussion.
Okay. So I didn't know if you were.
I was
making-
actually gonna make a second motion.
Because you can't make a motion when there's already a motion
motion.
going.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
you have to
true.
finish the
I'm sorry.
first
You have to
motion
finish
before you
the
do the
first
next.
motion.
The first one.
Well, I didn't know, okay, that's where I'm confused, because I didn't know if we could do different.
you're right.
If the chair could ask for nominations, get seconds for the nominations, and then we vote whomever is
you-
nominated.
To appoint Ron Bizon.
Correct.
Right.
So maybe we
Okay.
should go ahead and vote on that and then
All
move
right.
on with the discussion.
Yeah, I would say let's
All
let's
right,
just
no,
do
that's
we'll do
fine.
one at a time and just get through this. All right, so we have a motion to approve Ron Bezon for a position on the planning commission. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. All right. So we have
I'm-
2 more positions.
Make a motion to nominate Jim Winchester.
Second.
There's a discussion. All right, motion to approve Jim Winchester to a 4-year term to the planning commission. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I'd
I'll
like to
make a motion to,
Well,
I would.
I was gonna say pretty tight.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Barbara True Weber to the planning commission.
Second it.
All right, there's a motion to approve Barbara True Weber to the planning commission. All in favor say aye.
Well, wait,
we gotta-
Wait, hold on, sorry,
Discussion.
discussion. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jumping the gun, I
think that-
apologize,
that
Bob.
kind of goes against what we said earlier about trying to change it up. And we have somebody who's put in for it 3 times now that we're passing up here. And it doesn't, I mean, that goes against what we just said, was try to get new people on the board.
Which is.
We're not doing that.
My point was to nominate the 2 new people to the committee, but motions were made to go in order as they were listed on the sheet, so not much we can do.
Right, so as part of the discussion, just like we talked about Jim during the discussion for Ronnie, I'm going to talk about John. He's a multiple entrepreneur. He's started businesses in Pownal. And he's had multiple businesses. He's on the DRB. He's been active in our town government. And this is actually the 3rd time. And once he was appointed and then pulled off. That was. I didn't like that at all. So depending on how this vote goes, I will be nominating John with a strong endorsement, and I think this is our opportunity to make it up to him. In any case, whoever gets left out gets brought up again in the next meeting, right?
Well, to that point, I don't think we should be nominating or motioning to nominate somebody just because it's felt it's owed to them.
Well, no, and I didn't. That's not my argument. My argument is that he's shown a lot of interest in the town. He's shown the interest in this quite a bit. And
No,
maybe
I
that was
agree with you on that. It was the wording you had used.
That was bad wording, but you're right. But all the other reasons. I mean, a multiple entrepreneur, somebody who understands the town. He's shown interest in this before. He serves on the DRB. He's on our economic development committee. We have appointed people before because they have come back multiple times. in order
And
to be
they've
on
shown
that
the
board.
interest.
And they've shown the interest. You almost couldn't get more interest in this. I mean, to keep coming back, to have to keep coming back to try to get on, I think sends a bad message. Yeah, maybe that's not the right reason either. I think he's the right guy for the job.
So, all right. Any more discussion on John Bushy? All right. So we have a motion and a second to approve John.
No, we have a
sorry.
motion and a second to approve Barbara True Weber.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I got hung up.
I got confused on that too.
Yeah.
I apologize. All right. I need some caffeine.
That we have.
All right, so we have a motion to approve Barbara True Weber All in favor say aye.
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 I'll say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. All right.
Wait, did you just nay?
No, I
No,
said
he-
I said aye.
He just said all opposed,
Say nay. Oh, I was gonna say you just did it twice.
I have been up since 3 o'clock this morning.
What?
Cut me some slack.
Okay.
Oh, I'd hate to interrupt the vote, but John's actually here. We didn't ask to hear from him.
We didn't
Oh,
ask to hear
any-
from anybody.
Well, no one
Nobody
else is here.
present.
When somebody comes in and I saw his hand up over there, I think.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
somebody should have said something. I'm sorry.
I'm
Jeff.
sorry, I should have. And we should have done that before voting.
We should have. We already voted on it. I would say this: there is another position open. It will be warned.
We have your letter.
We have your letter, so you're going to be in the running. If nobody else puts in for it,
It's,
it'll be yours.
And we were supposed, well, the comment I made in the beginning, John, was so that we could nominate the 2 new people first,
yeah. But
I'm sorry.
but it didn't work out that way. So I apologize.
I think there was only one new person.
there was only one new person, that was
him.
John.
Yeah.
Everyone else was a
Has-
previous
has-
planning
has
commission.
sat.
I thought Barbara wasn't.
No, she's been on
She
the
is.
planning
Yeah.
commission for
Okay. I
years.
apologize.
Yep.
No, well, no, it's her,
I thought she-
6 or 7
She's
months.
been.
Oh, I thought she
yeah.
had served a term before
No,
previously. Oh, okay.
She
I apologize. I retract the
Finished
statement.
out somebody else's term.
right.
That was the intent.
Yep. So,
Okay.
On. Okay.
No.
All right. Well,
Moving on.
moving on. So DRB, we have 2 positions open. 3-year term with a stipend of $300 a year. Looks like Dave Dents is the only one.
I nominate David Dents.
I'll second.
All right. Motion to approve Dave Dents to the DRB. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. E911 coordinator, 1 position for a 2-year term with a stipend of $275 a month. We have 2 applicants, Dorothy Kimball and Priscilla Maxon or Mackin.
I think it's
Is that an X or a K?
Maxon.
Maxon, I
Maxon.
think.
Okay. All right. So
There's the letters.
yeah.
Doesn't really provide much information.
And Dorothy is right now.
Yeah, Dorothy's
Yeah,
sitting
Dorothy is
right
the
now,
current
right?
sitting one.
That's what I thought.
This is Maxon right there.
Okay.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Well, I
Would
don't.
you like to raise your
that's
hand?
what I say. People.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, hey.
I was wondering if that's who that was.
Well, yes.
Is it fair to have
Did I go by
her
it?
speak?
Well, I think,
I kind of feel bad. We skipped over John. I wasn't even thinking. I
But
lost track.
that's-
John was sitting in the corner.
Well, that's. I glanced back just to look to see if he was.
This is why I
Raising
want
his
to be
hand
able
or
to have
not,
the
but-
meeting where I can actually just look up and see everybody.
And this is a 2-year term.
Like, wrong one.
It's a 1-year term, isn't it?
No.
Oh, no, 2
It's
years.
2.
person
Okay,
for 2
no,
years.
1 person, 2 years. All right.
Is
Alrighty.
Dorothy's last name Kimball or
Yeah,
Baker?
No,
Kimball.
Kimball.
Okay.
Kimball.
Because her letter was signed Dorothy A.K. Baker.
I think she changed it to Baker.
It went
now.
back to Baker.
Okay.
Mary.
Or, yeah.
Just wanted to make sure I was reading the right letter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not otherwise known as.
I personally don't know a lot about either one, but
Yeah, and
but I
neither
do
do
know
I.
that Priscilla has shown a lot of interest in town government. She's run for positions in the past, and she's applied for positions in the past, and you know, frankly, her love of Pownal shows. but like I said, I don't know a lot about the qualifications or either one of them.
Would
we
we like
allow
to
her to
ask Ms.
speak?
Maxon to speak? Yeah.
Well, I just want
Make sure
yeah.
that there's an
'Cause-
understanding of what the E911 coordinator is supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, Dorothy's not here, but I have a general idea.
All right, I'm fine with letting her speak as long as it's proper. You know, being the other candidate's not here.
We haven't voted yet, so.
Opened it up.
All right.
Yeah,
Would you have-
my
what would you
name's
like to tell
Priscilla
us?
Maxon. I moved to Pownal in 2016. We actually purchased a gravel pit, Bartle's gravel pit, so, you know, we have a lot of activity going on over here. My understanding of the 911 is basically keeping the database up to date, which I'm hearing in firsthand experience. When I moved over here, I called the current 911 coordinator, and it took weeks and weeks before I got a call back. So in turn, it took forever to get my Comcast hooked up, and I'm on a private drive, so they can't find me on Google Earth. So it took forever, and I've talked to other people, and it's the same response that, it's not up to date. And after I applied, I actually went online to the database, the map you bring up, and my house now still is not on the 911. It plots it, and I have a rental mobile home that's not on it. Actually, two of them. Neither of those locations are plotted on the map. So I'm seeing that it's not being done efficiently.
So does everybody know what the E911 is?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. So, what was it, maybe 5 years ago, maybe? Everything had to go to E911. It was very prevalent in 2015. So not only do you need to know exactly, the facility or where the call's coming from, but if there's multiple apartments, which apartment it's coming from. So E911 breaks it down very finitely so that every location is identifiable for an emergency. So for businesses, if you have a campus with multiple buildings, when someone picks up the phone and dials 911, E911 knows exactly what building it's coming from, what floor it's coming from, so that if there was a medical emergency or if there was a fire, they would know that it's the third floor east side.
Well, we have a representative for the Emergency
Ran a
Management
911
Services
center.
here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Right.
and E stands for enhanced.
Yes.
Right.
So you're in I'm over here. I dial the phone 911. It comes up on the screen and it'll tell what the physical address is, what phone extension it is, the entirety, so that the dispatcher is looking at the data and can dispatch units immediately, and then go back and talk to the caller and either do like emergency medical instructions or get more information on the fire or the perpetrator, whatever it is. It's incredibly important that that's aligned correctly, and that the if Ms. Maxon picks up that telephone and dials 911 and the information isn't there, that's going to delay service to her residents. She has a medical or a fire, police emergency. Not a good situation. It's actually it's boiling down to with cell phones to get them off of a tower to triangulate, and be able to do it that way too. In some places they can do that, but it's an incredibly important position to our community.
John.
Just wanted to add something to that. I agree with her on this. There's address on my mom's property that's been there for roughly 3 years now that still is not on it. And my uncle was fought for 2 years trying to get it changed. Called Craig Odell in and his wife, and they couldn't find it. Because he had a heart problem and had to have medical services come once in a while, and they couldn't find his address, and he flew right off of the crossroads, still couldn't find him on that. So it's still not in place. They use the old Route 7 or old Jackson Crossroad address instead of the new road. Still.
And
so I know there's some that's still not in place.
Okay.
Let's say she has a particular medical condition. She can actually write to E911. They can actually enter it at her property. So when emergency medical instructions come up, we'll know that.
They already know she's pre-existing.
Pre-existing condition.
She has a pacemaker. Or
Yeah, all those things. Yeah.
Well, based on all this information, I'll make a motion to nominate Priscilla Maxon.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second
All right.
that.
There's a motion to approve Priscilla Maxim to the E911 coordinator position. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
You're welcome.
All right, motion carries.
Abstain.
Congratulations.
Stay.
All right, so Conservation Commission. There's 4 open positions, 4 years each, and nobody wants it. So it remains vacant. Recreation.
You would think that would be with the longest conservation.
The Recreation Board for Pownal School, it's 1 position open for 3 years, and Crystal Gardner has expressed interest.
I nominate Crystal Gardner for the Recreation Board Pownal School position.
I second that.
All right, there's a motion to approve Crystal Gardner to the position. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, auditor, 3 positions, 1 year each for $15 an hour. We have 2 people, David Adams and Crystal Gardner.
I nominate David Adams and Crystal Gardner.
I'll second.
All right.
David Adams and Crystal Gardner.
Motion to approve both David Adams and Crystal Gardner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Town agent, 1 position, 1 year term, and nobody wants it. So that remains vacant. Trustee of public monies, 2 positions available, 1 year each. Nobody wants it, remains vacant. And Recreation Implementation Committee, volunteers are always needed. So again, to the people at home who are still up watching this, we need any volunteers, get involved civically. Any help is appreciated.
I'd like to
Okay.
make a motion.
Should I read the part at the bottom? I'm sorry. About those interested on how to submit.
Oh, yeah, because you got a
Yeah,
open
so-
position
so-
for the planning commission.
So those interested in requesting a petition, please send a letter of interest to the Pownal Board of Selectmen at 467 Center Street, Pownal, Vermont 05261, or email at Linda, Linda, dot
Yes.
SCIARAPPA at townofpownal.org by March 29th. Obviously, that's gone past, but
Right.
we have a new position open, so feel free.
I'm gonna say,
Right.
we're gonna put this on the agenda for April 25th, so by the April 25th.
All right, so by April 25th.
Can we also, I don't know if I need the motion for it. I think it's probably an agenda item for April 25th also, is to fill the last.
Planning commission.
Planning commission seat,
Yeah.
right?
You
Yes.
made note of
We
it.
already
That's
did.
the
Yeah,
next
that's
regular
the
meeting.
next regular meeting.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to Mike Batcher from the BCRC regarding the discussion of the hazard mitigation and appointment of a hazard mitigation committee. That is a mouthful.
We try not to create hazardous plans because then you have to put them in a safe spot and
Yeah.
so they don't leak and things like that. Well, I'm Michael Batcher. I'm with the Bennington County Regional Commission. I'm a regional planner. I help write your town plan. So I'm going to give you a handout. I'm going to give you 2 handouts actually. So maybe just pass that one that way, pass that one that way, and just keep them around so you all get a copy. So hazard mitigation plans are not emergency management plans. We're not talking about emergencies when we're talking about hazard mitigation plan. In fact, you actually have an emergency management plan, or you should be developing one pretty soon. So the difference is that an emergency is something, it's an incident that occurs where you have to marshal resources to address that emergency. So an example is you have a flood and a bridge washes out and you have to fix that bridge. Hazard mitigation is that you design and build the bridge in the first place so that it doesn't wash out, which may mean it costs more money to do that.
Thank you.
No, we're all set there.
I knew I'd confuse you with that. So, hazard mitigation plans are a construct of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. They are not something you have to do. You don't have to do this. They were developed to
John, thank you for coming.
encourage towns to think about the kinds of natural hazards that might affect their community and plan accordingly. Okay? If you develop a hazard mitigation plan, you are eligible for grant funding through FEMA that you would not otherwise be able to get. Okay, that's one advantage. The other advantage is during a disaster, FEMA offers public assistance, and they provide 75% of the cost. So again, go to the bridge. Public assistance could fix public infrastructure. They will pay 75%. The state will pay a certain proportion if you've done a series of things. If you have a local emergency management plan, and if you have adopted the road and bridge standards, and if you've and you're part of the National Flood Insurance Program, all of which you had, you'll get 7.5%. So you're still required to get 17.5%. If you have a hazard mitigation plan, you get another 7.5%. If you go further, then you can get more of that return. So if you have, as you can see that table, if you have $1 million of public assistance, there can be a lot of zeros that the town would be responsible for trying to match. Okay. So the key to hazard mitigation planning is that you develop a good team, and your team should probably be made up of a variety of people. Some might be involved in emergency management. You might have somebody from the select board or the planning commission. It is a good idea to have somebody from business, somebody who's, because this is not just about town-owned stuff, this is about public stuff. Right. So you might have business people, you might have somebody from the school, and they're going to report to you. It's your planning team. In fact, in some cases, let's see, I've done this with about every town in the county except for you guys. I just finished a draft for Arlington. The select board was the planning team. That's the way it worked in Sunderland and Stamford. They both served as their own planning team. In other cases, they've appointed people. At any rate, they need to develop an outreach strategy. They need to make sure that you have to have public involvement. This can't be like you work in a little dark room. So all meetings have to be warned, and we need to get public involvement because FEMA looks at that. Basically what happens is we develop a plan that identifies potential natural hazards. Now you can look at other kinds of things too, but FEMA is only interested in natural hazards. They're not interested in terrorism or other kinds of things. That falls in our different realm. Then we go through the process of once we've identified those, we rank those hazards and determine which ones are the ones we're most worried about. So in Bennington County, the big ones have generally been flooding, windstorms, winter storms, infectious diseases, because Lyme disease is the #1 infectious disease in Bennington County. Okay? And invasive species has become a major factor too, especially if you talk to your road crew and they run into certain kinds of stuff on the roads. Stuff can be very harmful. We don't have a lot of focus on earthquakes or landslides. We can look at all of these things, but those seem to end up being the big ones. Seems like I'm missing one. But,
volcanoes?
Well, tornadoes, hurricanes aren't in
they would
earthquakes, not really big up here.
They would fall under windstorms though.
Right.
Because you do have
microbursts and whatnot.
Yeah, you did. I mean, Sandgate just had one where like about 100 acres of trees were flattened last year. Hail is not a big factor, though sometimes it can be. So then you develop strategies to address those. And that might be that let me give you an example. In Arlington, their firehouse is their shelter. It's in the flood zone. We'd like to move it. Right? Same thing with North Bennington. North Bennington's firehouse is their fire shelter, and it's also in the flood zone. So if we can get money from FEMA, this gets competitive, we get money from FEMA, we try to find a better location for those. Okay? So there may be things like that where you have something that you need to fix, so you need to rebuild it the right way, and you try to get those kinds of funding.
Michael, do they consider, I'm sorry to interrupt, do they consider heating and cooling? Not like cooling stations for the elderly? Would that be covered under something like this?
Yeah.
Or
sometimes
heating?
Generators have been covered. Okay. It's something we can put anything we want in there.
I don't know if it would be considered under like a FEMA or under something like this, but I do know that community-wide in the state of Vermont, those are some of the biggest issues of the elderly with health issues, is being able to release them from hospitals when they've had an episode or an emergency back to their homes because
it's funny because Walter Klinger had exactly that occur to him.
Right, they have no air conditioning.
Did you know that he came home one night from the hospital and his electricity was off?
Oh, that's terrible.
And in fact, we even had a meeting of a former select board because he didn't know whether the shelter was open or not because he didn't know how far the power was off.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Temperature extremes under weather are in the hazard mitigation plan. So there would be strategies associated with that.
Okay.
Either highs or lows.
Okay, yeah, because I know it can go either way.
Whatever you think is important, we can put in there. Just whether or not FEMA will fund it is a whole different issue, but we should put things that you all think are important. Okay. I mean, a lot of it's going to be town infrastructure, culverts, roads, those kinds of things, because if you don't have roads,
you can't get there.
You can't get there from here.
Right.
Another issue that you should think about, you have a lot of properties in the flood zone. You have more mobile homes in the flood zone than any other town in Vermont. And one possibility is to help people get funding to buy their house out at market value, and then they can find another place to live. They don't have to, it's not required, but it does provide people an out because many people don't have that out.
Right.
Okay, it's just an option. Or flood-proofing properties, especially commercial properties can be flood-proofed. So once we develop this plan and these actions, then that gets reviewed. We send that around for comment. That goes to emergency management for them to review. And then if they're okay with it, it goes to FEMA for them to review. Once they have approved it, then the town can adopt it. And then FEMA gives a final approval. So it's kind of FEMA sort of telling you a little bit what to do, but only because they want the plan to be in a certain format. And they're kind of persnickety. We've developed a format that seems to work, but it took quite a while. But it's worth doing. It's up to you. Like I said, it's totally up to you. You don't have to do it. It opens doors. You may never go through them. You may never apply for one of those grants. We did Stamford, Sunderland, and Shaftesbury. They all three got generators. Got generators for all three towns. Arlington got a retaining wall along a stream rebuilt. I'm trying to think, we haven't had a lot. Oh, there's a buyout in Woodford. The house was destroyed during Irene. And a camp in Arlington is being rebuilt to flood-proof it because they're right on the Batten. They're in the Roaring Branch that flows into the Batten.
Come off Kelly's.
We were trying to get a generator for Manchester because they wanted to get generators for their sewage treatment plant. They have a sewage treatment plant. If they lost power, well,
Yeah.
you might be in the same boat. I don't know. That might be something to think about. So there are things we can put in that, and again, you may or may never get those fundings, but you won't get them if you don't have a plan.
Right. And if you don't ask.
So exactly, if you don't have it, you don't know what it is. So,
Better be safe than
you should
sorry.
think about your planning team because you should find people that'll participate. These plans take 1 to 2 years. They just do.
Okay.
I mean, I've worked with Arlington for 3 years because it gets going and then it slides back. It's just not something that people think of as a priority.
People don't think about it until a disaster hits.
No.
Right. And then they woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yep.
Okay.
But again, I would look for a broad spectrum, and you all seem like you have a lot of free time on your hands, so maybe one of you would want to.
Kids so honest.
And then there's other people you could probably pick on. Like now that you have 9 people on the planning commission, jeez, And who is this poor guy, Mr. Dents? No, I'm just kidding. Hope he's not watching.
Well, we appointed him to a lot of things he didn't put in for.
But you should have Michael, and you should have your emergency management coordinator. You should have Joel, because they're key people. But don't forget, feel free to branch out to other people who will bring a different perspective, because you want people who think outside the box.
Right.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to hear the same thing from me, and you're going to hear the same thing from Michael, and you need people to say, why do you...
Other eyes
What
see.
you just mentioned, the heating and cooling, I would never have thought of that.
Oh, it's huge
So
in
you're
healthcare.
obviously going to be appointed to this committee.
You're in.
So you all think about it, and then
Ex officio.
and then and they should come back to you and let you know how it's going.
Okay.
And I can do that too.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, I'm not done. I've got something.
I know you've got, next.
You're on the next item.
Do you have handouts for
So
that?
Tom,
Right.
Tom
Does
can
anybody
help you
have
with this.
any more questions on this for Michael? I think Bob does.
Thank
No,
you guys
I'm not
for
gonna
waiting
take-
so long.
I'm not gonna motion for a break, but I have to take, you please continue, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Can you get,
I can get by.
Oh, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Would
sir.
you like me to make a list of people I would recommend for the Hazard Mitigation Committee?
Yeah, we already have a position for the committee, right? We don't have to create a committee, correct?
Well, we had a committee. We had
Okay.
a list of people on the committee. It rather collapsed.
Well, I mean, we don't have to recreate a committee. Like we're just looking to fill it now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
Well, you kind of do because, as Mike said, you lost the members, so you may want to dig another couple of members out.
They're one
Yeah.
cheater too.
Yeah, you can make a list, and we can also put it out to see if anybody's interested from the public.
They will.
Okay.
Yeah, like Michael said, you want representatives from everywhere. You don't want to just kind of narrow your focus. So, I would say post it and try to get some volunteers.
Okay.
What's the normal size of that committee? I'm sorry if you had already said it. I don't remember.
Well, it varies. When we did Manchester, they had maybe 10, 12 people. They had their public works person, they had their police chief, they had their fire chief, they had their town manager.
Okay.
They had their
Does
EMD.
FEMA require a specific
No.
minimum size?
No, but what they want is public involvement.
Yes.
Diversity.
Oh, sorry,
Right,
Brian.
so
They want to know that we've reached out. I mean, they will hammer us. They will want to know who came to the meetings, how many people, how many meetings did we
Right.
have.
I mean, it would probably be really good to have, town government, highway, wastewater. Because to his point, if something happens and there's any type of leakage or breakage or anything down there.
we should have a
probably wanna
representative from the emergency services as well,
Yeah, well,
paramedics, fire department.
Craig, yep.
Yep.
Craig
chiefs.
O'Dell for our emergency management. If we had a public health person, that person.
Mm-hmm.
And even somebody from water district, because we've got people who are tied into that public water.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything ever happened to that, that would definitely be a disaster, so.
Maybe
Yeah.
a couple of local
You've
contractors
got
that have done work in town.
I think you've got close to 20 public water systems of one type or another.
Yeah.
Like even Stewart's is a public system. But you have several mobile home parks that have
Right.
their own public systems and
Well, there's quite a few deeds in town that there's water deeded. That's what you're referring to? From one property going?
well, there's one
That's
well
shared,
and
right,
they're, yeah,
they're shared.
and they're serving
Right.
multiple properties, yeah.
Right.
How that works is sort of probably an interesting
Mm-hmm.
process, yeah.
All right, so yeah,
In other
so
words, it's not a municipal public system. It's
Correct.
a public system because it's serving multiple people.
Right.
That's why Stewart's is a public system, because you and I can go in and get a glass of water.
Right.
Or coffee. And that's serving multiple people. So it has to have certain specifications.
all right, so I don't know, do we got to make a motion to authorize Michael to contact people?
Not necessary, I already did it
Yeah.
once, and,
All right, so and I would like Linda to post it as well.
yeah.
Not just,
I'll
you know,
work with it.
Right.
Try to cast a wide net and get as many as we can. Hopefully we get a few. All right, so moving on to Michael Batcher for the BCRC and Transfer Station Supervisor regarding Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance. Thank you for being so patient,
Yeah,
Tom,
thank
and
you,
sitting
guys.
through all
Oh,
this.
I got to sleep. I got to doze some. Don't worry about it.
All right, so
So
No, this is more time I spent with Michael than I wanted to. I mean, it's 2 hours yesterday. And
this is too
3
awkward
hours
for me to
today.
sit like that.
Yeah.
And three
Slide down a
hours
little bit.
today. So this is what we got.
we sit in this transfer station and eat potato chips together.
I believe that.
You are part of the Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance, which is a contract between 13 towns to implement what's called a solid waste implementation plan. And towns, municipal governments in Vermont are responsible for managing solid waste. Okay, so if your private haulers quit, you would have to go pick up trash. You'd have to figure out how to do that. Okay? So you're responsible to make sure it's managed properly. And the solid waste implementation plan is an effort to do that. Our plan primarily focuses on education and outreach, but we also try to support because in Bennington, everything's kind of a little bit balkanized. If you live in Pownal, you can use the Pownal transfer station. If you live in Shaftesbury, you can use the Shaftesbury transfer station. In other districts, you can use multiple transfer stations. If you live in Pownal, you could go to somewhere else. So we try to support the transfer stations and what they do as best we can to make sure that everybody basically can get the same services. So like Tom's been great because you don't have a hardware store anymore. And one of the things that hardware stores in many cases did was accept fluorescent bulbs for free because there's a state program for that. Well, Tom takes it. Okay, that's a great service. If you didn't have that, then actually the nearest place to take a fluorescent bulb is
Home Depot.
Arcade Mine. Well, they won't take tubes.
Granite City doesn't take
Only
them
if you
anymore.
buy them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granite City.
Yeah, you can go to Arcade Miles. They'll take everything. So
No.
it's an important
that's only-
service.
Is that subsidized by Efficiency Vermont still?
It's subsidized by the manufacturers.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
done by the Electrical Manufacturers Association.
Okay.
And what it is I contact Veolia. I tell them what boxes I want. They ship me the boxes free, and they already have the labels and everything on it. It's all prepaid. I have to just assemble the boxes, and then I have to safely transfer the bulbs or tubes or whatever we have into these boxes, and when they're full, I seal them all up, tie them up, and then what I do is I get online and I get a hold of FedEx. They come in, stop, pick them up, take them out. Doesn't cost us anything except my time. But I think for keeping this much mercury out of landfills and everything else, it's definitely worthwhile. And we've been getting a lot, and I mean an awful lot of people bringing these in.
Yeah.
And we're also taking the thermostats and other things. We have some things like some of the gas stoves have mercury switches in them and so forth. And I have a thing we went to a course up Manchester on this, and so it's worthwhile. And then we do the batteries, and that's another thing that we instituted. Well, before all we took was lead acid. Now we take them all, and that's free, and that's run by the state. So anybody that's in the town, they don't have to be permit holders. Right. They can bring fluorescents in. It's a state program. They can bring electronics in, and they can bring batteries in. They don't have to have permits.
Right.
They can bring them up there, and as long as they're Vermont residents, we can take them.
Yeah. These programs fall under sort of a concept called extended producer responsibility, which basically means if I'm a manufacturer and I make something that could be hazardous, I should pay for its proper disposal as opposed to giving it to you, and then you pay for its proper disposal.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which a lot of states do with their electronics. Very, very expensive. We get a tremendous amount of them, and I have a feeling that some of them are coming from New York or some of them are coming from Massachusetts. I can't say it, but people are Vermont people, and but we have an awful lot of electronics. We get, and now the good thing about it is we do get 8 cents a pound, so it's usually about 5,000 pounds of shipment. So we get $400 or something, but we get them out. You have to get them out of there anyhow. They can't go in the trash, and if we weren't taking them, they'd be down over the banks. They still do it.
Right.
They still put them down over the banks. But why? Beyond me, because they're free to get rid of.
They probably don't know that they're free to get rid of.
Yeah.
Can we put this on like the newsletter or something too, just so it's like out? I know, but still,
that goes along the lines of the communication.
We put out a newsletter. We do put it. Actually, we publish it in the news guide, and I'll put it in Front Porch Forum from time to time.
Right.
Okay.
But you're right. It almost has to be like written on in the inside of your glasses. You can take this to the transfer station for free as opposed to dumping it down the hill.
Right.
Well,
Bob has a.
Just to point out, if that goes on our website and under community events or community links, I can put it in the newsletter. In fact, I don't put community links on the newsletter today, but maybe that's something I should. But it's already 8-9 pages long. So.
Yeah.
Marlena?
So I was recently on our website and I was looking at the calendar, and there are flyers already out there regarding the
Household hazardous waste.
Household hazardous waste days. But I was noticing that some of the items that I noted on my personal calendar were in Dorset as well. So
we have one in Bennington.
Right, Bennington was one, and then there was an advertisement or an announcement about the compost bins.
Event, yeah.
Yep, Dorset was doing the e-waste event. So I'm seeing those on our website, which I thought was
you guys
great.
are great about putting them on your website. Right. Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't. That was Jen. Jen went out and found Jen Hawley found that stuff. Batteries, though. Question on that. I'm sorry, Tom. Car batteries or like Duracell batteries?
Any battery.
Okay.
Except I can't take a lithium ion that's over 14 pounds. But pretty much anything, lead acid batteries, and there's a lot of sealed lead acid batteries.
That would probably be one out of like a Prius or something.
This has one in, and so they're small ones.
Okay.
But these have to be changed.
Right.
And a lot of the electricians, I'm afraid they probably were tossing them for quite a while.
Right.
We take them, I take them to Atkins, we get paid for that.
Okay.
All right, like 25 cents a pound. So, there's some things that we're able to recoup some of our costs and so forth with. But, but these are things that I do more batteries than anybody. I just can't imagine anybody doing more batteries in this little town. And Vermont is the #1 state for recycling batteries.
Well, we've got Energizer
called
in
recycling.
Bennington.
Rechargeable
And I got a
batteries
feeling
are
there's a little town in the southwest corner that might be #1 in the state, to tell you the truth. We do a tremendous amount.
Rechargeable batteries are banned from the landfill.
Yeah.
Now the alkaline, what are called single-use batteries,
Right.
you can throw them in the trash.
Right.
But what's been found is there's a lot of good stuff in them.
Right.
And they can be recycled. It's
Yeah.
just if you
And
can
that's
make the
another
effort.
freebie.
So if you're basically giving someone a free resource and they can recycle it, then they can make some money.
Yeah, I mean, I get them in every day, every day, every day.
But nobody makes a distinction between rechargeable and
Well,
So not
I have-
rechargeable,
It's
but
a
regular
battery,
ones,
throw it in the
right.
trash.
Yeah.
So the more we can get out of the system, the less
Right.
it goes in the wrong.
Because these are dangerous, and they're dangerous for starting fires too.
Yeah, lithium batteries
All
are a
right,
nightmare.
lithium batteries and these other rechargeables, they have to be handled specifically. They have to be wrapped up by themselves. The ends have to be sealed, whatever. The other ones, I do put them, I bag them all, but I keep like the negatives and positives different, and seal them up and put them in there. I don't want to be responsible for somebody having a truck fire or somebody dying. I mean, I'm very meticulous about how I do these. It is, yeah, maybe it's a little overkill, but you know what? I just feel safe. And now the new boxes come through. They have a fire retardant liner, you know. So when they're all sealed up, they're really pretty good shape. But you have to keep them separate. So even when I put if I have two lithiums, I'll put them apart. You know, and I really take my time to do it and do it right. It's just, you know, I don't want to be responsible for some accident. I really don't.
Is our transfer station paperwork linked on the town website? As far as
Our
the rule,
retrack,
regular.
our retrack is anybody can check it out on retrack through the state.
Your paperwork, what did you?
But as far as the, you know,
What
the
we'll
charges and what you accept and what
Yeah,
you don't accept.
That
and
is
all
on our
that.
website. You're charging.
Oh yeah, that's
absolutely.
on there. Yeah. All that's on there. No, I'll have some changes coming up for July 1st. We're gonna change some things. I'm gonna change some things in the swap shop. People are just bringing too much junk in there, and from now on, they're gonna have to show it to the attendant before they can put it in. I mean, that's one big thing because it just gets out of control.
And the other thing we're doing is there'll be a member of the team that'll be down by the dumpsters.
Yes.
And to be able to, you know,
Yeah.
watch
Probably
what's going in, helping
80% of the time anyhow. Right now,
I know you got
we're a little
cameras.
short-handed, so that's not gonna happen right now.
So the
But we're
alliance,
able to-
alliance helps you meet state requirements. That's what we do, and as a result, I send you a big bill every year.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of money. It's like 18,000 a year, varies from year to year somewhat.
I think you.
But
you're
here's
not-
the thing,
you're
if we
not-
had
you're
to
not-
do
you're
it
not being
ourselves.
charged that money.
Yeah, no.
But
Here's the thing.
a
Well, I was
hazardous
gonna
waste
say,
event, a
we
household
don't-
hazardous waste could cost like $35,000
Right.
just for that event. Now you share it with the other 13 towns, and it's
Right.
proportion. So Bennington ends up being the big gorilla, and they pay basically half of everything.
They-
But whether 5 residents from Pownal or 50 come, you pay the same amount because it's
Right.
based on.
Yeah, we pay our
But you have a lot of people
10.05%.
because it's close
Right.
and it's an important thing. And
You know.
it's really
But-
the only option for people to get rid of some stuff that they
Right.
couldn't otherwise.
Better than them dumping it in the
Because
backyard.
again, even for paint, you don't have a hardware.
Right.
And Bennington doesn't have a hardware. So your nearest place to take paint for free is Arcade Miles in Manchester.
Yeah.
So,
It's just very difficult.
yeah, so
You
we're trying
know.
to make it as easy for people as possible.
And the household hazardous waste days are great. When the one in the fall, I go up and help Michael up there. That one's actually run by the Solid Waste Alliance. The other one is contracted out to Casella's in Bennington because that's their facility. They take care of that. So,
We
but
do all the advertising.
we need help up there on the fall one, and.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. We have a good time. He almost gets run over 3-4 times, but honestly, people just don't care.
Wear your safety orange.
Last
Yeah.
time,
Fix their eating, Mike.
the kids sold donuts, and so that was popular.
Yeah, we had a,
They
we
made
had a
like
nice
three or
time.
So
four
chips
on
and
it.
donuts, you too? Is
We
that
made
the
Yes, at
donuts.
the Dorset
but
School.
They
It's-
sold a lot of
it's a
donuts.
very nice
So people were
run.
happy when they came up. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of people were tipping us 2 years ago, but then the kids were selling the donuts for a trip over Europe or something.
Yeah, we
wasn't
let
it?
them out.
Yeah.
We said, give it to them. Buy some donuts, give the money to them. You know, but
So-
it's important what we do, and without the Solid Waste Alliance, if this town had to do it, it would cost us probably 4 times what we're paying. Because there's so much that has to be done, so much paperwork has to be done. So by combining forces, we're actually saving a lot of money for all the towns involved.
So visit the website. There's all kinds of good information there.
Yeah, it really is.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Well, I just wanted to let the new board members, and we got quite a few of them,
Yeah.
and to know
And thank
what,
you for
what we
waiting
did
and
here.
sitting
My
patiently.
condolences.
Really.
Yeah.
My condolences for being elected to the board. No.
Careful what you wish for.
And I'm
Thank
glad
you,
I
Thatcher.
finally got to meet all of you.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, personally, I thank every one of you for your service to the town. I really do.
Thank you.
And Beck, don't forget Beck.
Thank you.
Going back to
A motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Oh,
we're done?
We're done.
No.
no, we have to do the reminder.
Oh, thank you. I knew we weren't done.
Jumping
All right,
the gun.
so-
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care.
So there's a reminder, there's a public hearing number 2 for the town plan amendments, Wednesday, April 17th at 6:30 PM at the Pownal Valley Fire Department Center Station.
Go ahead, Harry.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm in favor of getting out of here.